sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It's the biggest night of my professional life, and you're gonna be there. Look, it starts at 7, dress as formal casual. Those things are opposites. Well, what are you wearing right now? Jeans and a top? Are you doing that thing where you call a sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It is the biggest night of my professional life, and you're gonna be there. Look, it starts at 7, dress as formal casual. Those things are opposites. Well, what are you wearing right now? Jeans and a top? Are you doing that thing where you call a sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It is the biggest night of my professional life, and you're gonna be there. Look, it starts at 7, dress as formal casual. Those things are opposites. Well, what are you wearing right now? Jeans and a top? Are you doing that thing where you call a sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It is the biggest night of my professional life, and you're gonna be there. Look, it starts at 7, dress as formal casual. Those things are opposites. Well, what are you wearing right now? Jeans and a top? Are you doing that thing where you call a sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It is the biggest night of my professional life, and you're gonna be there. Look, it starts at 7, dress as formal casual. Those things are opposites. Well, what are you wearing right now? Jeans and a top? Are you doing that thing where you call a sweatshirt top? No? You're coming. It is the biggest...
And on America, what will Jules end up? Of options. What will Jules end up? What will Jules end up doing tonight? The choice is in her tonight. The choice is in her hand. America's favorite game show. Should America's favorite game show. America's favorite game show. Should she go out? Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose what America's favorite. Jules. Here's the deal, Jules. Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose whatever's behind door number 1.
Okay, I'll take door number 1.
Here's the deal, Jules. Here's the deal, Jules. Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose whatever's behind door number 1.
Okay, I'll take door number 1.
Here's the deal, Jules. Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose whatever's behind door number 1.
Okay, I'll take door number 1.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose whatever's behind door number 1.
Okay, I'll take door number.
Here's the deal, Jules. You can go to this stressful weeknight work party with Madison, or you can choose whatever's behind door number 1.
Okay, I'll.
Here's the deal, Jules.
I'm torn. Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate... I'm torn. Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either.
I'm torn. Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way.
I want to retry them and just...
I'm torn. Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way.
I want to retry them and jot down more.
I'm torn. Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal? Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way.
I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way.
I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way.
I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate,
If this were the real COVID-19, I would be in real trouble because I have asthma.
No,
I have depression.
For Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way. I want to retry them and jot down more.
Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to
Well, you done me, and you bet I felt it. I tried to beat you, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate.
Do we start by uploading the scent for Tidal Climax Algae Bloom or Tidal Climax Red Tide? It's a legitimate Sophie's choice.
Just to reiterate, 100% impossible either way. I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Do we start by
Open up your mind,
Any case?
see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free.
You guys knew one.
Calling you. Listen to the people dance.
You guys knew on that.
You
Thank you so much for bringing me clothes. There's no way I'd get out of here in time to change. Are you kidding? I love a good before and after. I brought everything I already had in my... you guys knew on that. You guys knew on that. Thank you so much for bringing me clothes. There's no way I'd get out of here in time to change. Are you kidding? I love a good before and after. I brought everything I already had in my car. You guys knew on that.
Feels better in my hand right now. Jesus. Ridiculous. Here.
I've been spinning way too long, checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer above my breath.
You guys knew on that. Thank you so much for bringing...
There ain't no better reason to rid yourself of vanities and just go with the seasons. It's what we aim to do. Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait.
You guys knew on that. Thank you so much for bringing me clothes. There's no way I'd get out of here in time to change. Are you kidding? I love a good before and after. I brought everything I already had in my car. You guys knew on that. Thank you so much for bringing me clothes. There's no way I'd get out of here in time to change. Are you kidding? I love a good before and after. I brought everything I already had in my car.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I. Because
It's impossible either way. I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Allison threw away all the pens.
You guys knew on that. Thank you. It's impossible either way. I want to retry them and jot down more of my thoughts.
Allison threw away all the pens.
You guys out of here in time. I've already had in my car. Talk weekend. Roller just picked me to go to this big work event. Specifically picked me to go to this big work event. Picked me to go to the specifically picked me to go to this big specifically picked me to go to this big vegan chef book launch? She invited me to that yesterday, but I said I couldn't go. Wait, Madison invited you first? Okay, that was supposed to... Madison specifically picked me to go to this big work event tonight with her, and I'm supposed to look nice. Wait, Madison specifically picked me to go to this big work event tonight with her, and I'm supposed to look nice. Wait, the vegan chef book launch? She invited me to that yesterday, but I said I couldn't go. Wait, Madison invited you first? Okay, that was... Madison specifically picked me to go to this big work event. Madison specifically picked me to go to this big work event tonight with her, and I'm supposed to look nice. Wait, the vegan chef book launch? She invited me to that yesterday, but I said I couldn't go. Wait, Madison invited you first? Okay.
Try again.
Okay. Yesterday, but I said I couldn't go. Vegan chef book launch? Wait, the vegan chef book launch? She invited me to that yesterday, but I said I couldn't go. Wait, Madison invited you first? Okay, that was supposed to... Tell her that I told you. But it's fine that I told you. Because we're all such good friends. Okay, then why can't Madison know I know? And why aren't you going? I'll tell you, but it's a... Go. To a secret party.
Bored and lonely at home? Then just download this app where you can watch live funny girls for free. to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume party.
Time machine.
Are you going to
Well,
the room? Hey,
with sponsor and a string. I don't think you should ever. You know, if it's a good idea.
and then serendipity to join me tonight. Oh my God,
With really high stakes if you get it wrong.
Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love Oh my God, party in the girls' Oh my God, party. Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume parties. Oh my God, party. Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume parties. Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume parties. Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume parties. Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
More or less, I think.
Oh my God, party in the girls' room. Hey, if either of you guys want to join me tonight, I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor and then Serendipity to test my theory that Kate Beckinsale's aging in reverse.
Well, I have to go to a work party with Madison.
Fun. I love costume parties. Oh my. Oh.
Dang it. Oh, that clicked.
You're making him about to.
Okay, I got us food, but not. Okay, I got us food, but not a lot of food, so we won't be too full later when we do the stuff.
You're making him about to say even harder.
Lucy, just stay still. I'm coming. So a hobo spider seems to have crawled into.
Okay, okay, I got us food, but not a lot of food, so we won't be too full later when we do the stuff.
You're making him about to say even harder.
Lucy, just stay still. I'm coming. So a hobo spider seems to have crawled into Lucy's cast, and
Okay, I got us. Okay, I got us food, but okay, I got us food, but not a lot of food, so we won't be too full later when we do the stuff.
You're making him about to say even harder.
Lucy, just.
Okay, I got us food, but not a lot. Okay, I got us food, but not a lot of food, so we won't be too full later when we do the stuff.
You're making him about to say even harder.
Lucy, just stay still. I'm coming. So a hobo spider seems to have crawled into Lucy's cast, and.
Okay. 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 Sure. Maybe. No, I'm not mad. I get it.
You should be mad.
Stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me. And For the record, I'm not calling the spider homeless, because he very much has a home. Mine. I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you? And for the record, I'm not calling the spider homeless, because he very... I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to... Mine. I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much...
I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try. I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try. Mom. I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free.
I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No
I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
no hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free anytime.
I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me. Here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me. Stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me. I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free anytime.
I have to stay here and deal with this. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad. Deal with this. Please try not. Deal with this. Please. This. Please try not to hate. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free anytime. Maybe.
Please try not to hate.
One piece of advice for folks trying to slim down is to know exactly which so-called
Maybe I can make some soup.
Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally. Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free anytime. Maybe.
Please try not to hate me.
No hate. I get it.
You should be mad, and I totally get it. I'm so sorry. Can I make it up to you later this week?
No, I'm not mad. Yeah, I could make another night work. I'm pretty much free anytime. Maybe.
Please try not to hate me. Please try not.
scrap.
Cast. Go ahead and deal with the spider in the cast, and good luck.
Alright, I'm sorry.
What do you want me to do?
Tuesday's Lucy's physical. On Tuesday.
Tuesday? Time. Tuesday?
On Tuesday's Lucy's physical therapy. Wednesday?
Sure. Tuesday?
On Tuesday's Lucy's physical therapy. Wednesday?
Sure. Tuesday? Tuesday? Tuesday?
On Tuesday's Lucy's physical therapy. Wednesday?
Sure. Tuesday?
On Tuesday's Lucy's physical therapy. Wednesday?
Sure. Tuesday? Tuesday?
Can't help.
Want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Sorry, not you, Wes. Go ahead and deal with the spider in the cast, and, good luck.
Alright, I'm sorry.
I ain't doing the stuff.
What do you want?
Sunday, March 12th. Live. With YouTube TV. Try it free. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
Start selling online with Shopify, the e-commerce platform that's trusted.
What do you want me to do?
Sorry, not you, Wes. Go.
What do you want me to do?
Sorry, not you, Wes. Go ahead and deal with the spider in the cast, and, good luck.
Alright, I'm sorry.
I ain't doing the stuff.
What do you want me to do?
Anything?
Help you.
I ain't doing the stuff. But I'd play a game of Scrabble. And I'll whoop your ass, too.
Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, you have an hour? Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look.
See the problem here, Chad?
They look.
Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look.
Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start. Do you see the problem here, Chad? Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I write about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what. I mean, one will make our bathroom, the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I write about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
Shit. Can't help you. It's on the purchase. With it. You'll have to live with it.
Hey. Do you see the problem here? Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different.
I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Pause.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy,
Get y'all.
do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me. Do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Well, that's concerning to me, Chad, given that they are different. I mean, one will make our bathroom ugly and the other will not.
Can't help you. It's on the purchase order. You'll have to live with it.
Hey, buddy, do you see the problem here, Chad?
They look the same to me.
Do you see? Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person. Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I read about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I read about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 50-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I read about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. Hey, buddy, you have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call.
You have an hour to start an installation with the right tile. I'm gonna call every person who owns a bathroom within a 15-mile radius to tell them you suck. Forget about what I write about you on Yelp. Your mother will cry.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Hey, buddy, you have an hour.
She's already very...
We handle contractors from now on.
I'll fix it.
Oh.
What did I just do? My finger.
Hey. Let me handle contractors. Okay. Babe, let me handle contractors from now on. I speak their language. It's called shaming. Got it.
Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need any.
Okay. Babe, let me handle contractors from now on. I speak their language. It's called shaming. Got it.
Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need any.
Holy boy.
She's already very disappointed. She's already very disappointed. She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. Babe, let me handle contractors from now on. I speak their language. It's called shaming.
Dylan, get down. Why are you up there?
When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay.
Weird.
Babe, let me handle contractors from now on. I speak their language. It's called shaming. Got it.
Hey, Liz.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it. She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay. Babe, let me handle contractors from now on. I speak their language. It's called shaming. Got it.
Hey, Liz.
She's already very disappointed. I'll fix it.
Okay.
She's already very disappointed.
Other night work. I'm pretty much free anytime. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you think of anything, you're my #1 client. Not just because you're my only client. Oh. Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you think of anything, you're my #1 client. Not just because you're my only client. Oh, okay. Gotta go. Bobby, help me understand. I've had this 7 a.m. private session for 3. Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you think of anything, you're my #1 client. Hey, Liz. Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you... Hey, Liz. Me again. Just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you think of anything, you're my #1 client. Not just because you're my only client.
Look at that. Fucking sucks.
Hey, Liz. Me again, just triple checking that you don't need anything. If you think of anything, you're my #1 client. Not just because you're my only client. Oh, okay, gotta go. Bobby, help me understand. I've had the 7 a.m. private session for 3 years. Hey, Lotus. Me again, just...
I'll take it.
Hey, Lotus.
I can't believe this actually works. Here's what you do if you want to get hotels for prices like this. So for
Oh, we're using QuickBooks for a lot more than an account. Well, I need Salesforce integration. Of course, it's Salesforce. Really? Yeah. Salesforce.com. They all sync to QuickBooks. This is not just for the books anymore. Guess not.
Bobby? Bobby? Help me understand. I've had the 7 a.m. private session for 3 years. You don't call, you don't write, you just switch me to the 11:30 a.m. on the app.
I'm sorry. I have to reserve the 7 a.m. solo for people who actually work.
I work.
I just mean...
Bobby, help me understand. I've had the 7 a.m. private session for 3 years. You don't call, you don't write, you just switch me to the 11:30 a.m. on the app.
I'm sorry. I have to reserve the 7 a.m. solo for people who actually work.
I work.
I just mean...
Bobby, help me understand. Bobby, help me understand. I've had the 7 a.m. private session for 3 years. You don't... Bobby, help me understand. I've had the 7 a.m. private session for 3 years. You don't call, you don't write, you just switch me to the 11:30 a.m. on the app.
I'm sorry. I have to reserve the 7 a.m. solo for people who actually work.
I work.
I just mean...
Bobby? 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 Help me understand.
It's called shaming.
7 a.m. private session for 3 years.
I have to reserve the 7 a.m. solo for... people with 9-to-5 schedules.
I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group stash, okay?
5 schedules.
I promise. I'll work you just as... I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group sesh, okay?
It's a group session?
Hey, Janice. How's it going?
Mom? I don't understand why the...
I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group sesh, okay?
It's a group session?
Hey, Janice. How's it going?
Mom? I don't understand why the...
I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group sesh, okay? I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group sesh, okay?
It's a group session?
Hey, Janice. I promise. I'll work you just as hard in this group sesh, okay?
It's a group session?
Hey, Janice. How's it going? I promise.
What are you doing?
Alex Pendleton
Ow.
peaked in 7th grade, and he's now an incel who lives in his Wests.
Oh, a song, huh?
Filling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down?
Yes, that's definitely a thing I'm doing with my hands right now.
You two starting a girl band I should know about? Did leave my cowbell at home today.
Refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce. Unless understand why the hotels haven't. I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down?
Yes, yep.
I don't understand why the hotels haven't. I don't understand why the hotels haven't. I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down?
Yes, that's definitely a thing
I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop
See, the
some papers
timing
at
is
my...
funky.
I don't understand why the hotels haven't... I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down? I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down? I don't understand. understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath and shower line. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down? I don't understand why the hotels haven't re-upped their order of the room's bath. Do a full investigation. They are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full... Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down?
Yes, that's definitely a thing I'm doing with my hands right now.
You two starting a girl band I should know about?
Unless they are...
Get cable-free live TV with no hidden fees or long-term contracts and 100+ channels. YouTube TV. Try it free. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you do before you buy anything online? Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I can show you how to get...
Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. Unless they are refilling the bottles with something generic. I want us to do a full investigation. First, we have to drop some papers at my divorce attorneys. Are you writing this down?
Yes, that's definitely a thing I'm doing with my hands right now.
You two starting a girl band I should know about?
Unless they are... Unless they are... This is my divorce lawyer. Today,
It's right now.
Girl band I should know about?
Now.
You two starting a girl band? You two starting a girl band? You two starting a girl band I should know about? Did leave my cowbell at home today.
This is my divorce lawyer. Today, all days. Meet me at the Valley in 5. You're driving.
Great, so fun. Be right there. When you asked Celeste for me to have...
You two starting a girl band? I did leave my cowbell at...
All days. Meet me at the Valley in 5. You're driving. Divorce lawyer. Today, all days. Meet me at the Valley. This is my divorce lawyer. Today, all day. This is my divorce lawyer. Today, all days. Meet me at the Valley in 5. You're driving.
Great, so fun. Be right there. When you asked Celeste for me to have more responsibility, I didn't at all mean this.
Well, maybe you could ask the other two Heim sisters to give you...
This is my divorce lawyer. Today, all days. Meet me at the... Meet me at the...
Great.
The Valley in 5. You're driving. Meet me at the Valley in 5. Meet me at the Valley in 5. You're driving.
Great, so fun. Be right there. When you asked Celeste for me to have more responsibility, I didn't at all mean this.
Well, maybe you could ask the other two Heim sisters to give you a hand.
Oh, right. Celeste is burning.
Meet me at the Valley in 5. You're driving.
Great, so fun. Great. When you asked Celeste for me to have more responsibility, I didn't at all mean this.
Well, maybe you could ask the other two Heim sisters to give you a hand.
Oh, right. Celeste is burning all of college shit, and I guess she promised her masseuse's son this guitar. When you asked Celeste for me to have more responsibility, I didn't at all mean this.
Well, maybe you could ask the other two Heim sisters to give you a hand.
Oh, right. Celeste is burning all of college shit, and I guess she promised her masseuse's son this guitar. Maybe he's a musician, or... When you asked Celeste for me to have more... I didn't at all...
The other two Heim sisters
is burning all of college shit, and Celeste is burning all of college shit, and I guess she promised her masseuse's son this guitar. Maybe he's a musician or a barista with big dreams.
You can just leave that with me. I'm waiting for Stella to meet me for lunch anyway.
Oh my god, thank you so much. That would be insanely helpful. Insane being that Celeste is burning.
With me, I'm waiting for Stella to meet me.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That would be insanely helpful. Insane being the main word in my life right now. Okay, I'm gonna send you his contact. He should be here really soon. Okay, thank you so much. Pray for me. Oh my God, thank you so much. That would be insane in my life right now. Pray for me.
Hi, hello. I'm Jules. You must be Fender?
Oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar.
Pray for me.
Heart disease or being an actor.
Being over 50 or being a smoker can put you at serious risk.
Could that be you? Find out. Go to noplangood.com and know your risk factors. Then make a
Babe, let me handle the contractors from now on. I speak their language.
They are refill.
Maybe in my next life. Oh,
I'm Jules. You must be Fender?
oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar myself. Maybe in my next life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I thought it was Australian, like in a good eye, Fender kind of a way.
No. Oh, I'm
high-performing, intelligent individuals suffer from it. Well, what's it all about? Well, contrary to popular belief.
Oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar myself. Maybe in my next life. Oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar myself. Maybe in my next life.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar myself. Maybe in my next life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I thought it was Australian, like in a g'day, Fender kind of a way.
No. Oh, I'm here for the guitar, but I'm not a guitar myself. Maybe. Oh, I'm here.
Days. Meet me at
Hey, hello. Like in a Fender kind of a way.
No.
Kind of a way. Hey.
No. Whew. She's gorgeous. Any requests?
Oh, a song, huh? Any song. One single song.
Let's not plug it in anyway.
Oh.
She's gorgeous. Any requests?
Oh, a song, huh? Any song. One single song.
Let's not plug it in anyway.
Oh.
She's gorgeous. Any requests?
Oh, a song, huh? Any song. One single song.
Let's not plug it in anyway.
Oh. Spring to mind.
Oh,
Here by Nelly. Too bad because hot in here. Too bad because hot in here, but too bad because hot in here. Too bad because hot in here by Nelly just sprang to mind.
oh, damn. Middle school dance flashbacks. Fond memories?
Not at all. I cried in the bathroom because Alex Pendleton told me I smelled like pool water, which I didn't.
Well, we both know Alex.
Too bad because hot in here by Nelly just sprang to mind. Too bad because hot in here by Nelly just sprang to mind.
Oh, damn. Middle school dance flashbacks. Fond memories?
Not at all. I cried in the bathroom because Alex Pendleton told me I smelled like pool water, which I didn't.
Well, we both know Alex.
Too bad because
At Custom Ink, we can help you create custom products with a meaningful logo or design to help you feel connected, whether you're all in one place or scattered across the country. can contribute to a sense of community with team apparel and corporate gifts. Increase employee retention by making people feel welcome. And
Too bad, because Hot in Here by Nelly just
today at customink.com.
Too bad, because Hot in Here by Nelly just sprang to mind.
Oh, damn. Middle school dance flashbacks. Fond memories?
Not at all. I cried in the bathroom because Alex Pendleton told me I smelled like pool water. Wish I didn't.
Well, we both know Alex.
Too bad, because Hot in Here by Nelly just sprang to... Too bad, because...
$1,000 a month, thanks to a new loophole that exists in the YouTube.
Fender?
Dance.
Bathroom because Alex Pendleton told me I Wish I didn't.
Well, we both know Alex Pendleton peaked in Well, we both know Alex Pendleton peaked in 7th grade. And he's now an incel who lives in his mum's basement.
Thank you.
Well, I'd love to continue this, but gotta be somewhere.
Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually, well, we both know. Well, we both know Alex Pendleton peaked in 7th grade. And he's now an incel who lives in his mum's. Well, we both know Alex Pendleton peaked in 7th grade. And he's now an incel who lives in his mum's basement.
Thank you.
Well, we both know Alex Pendleton peaked in 7th grade. And he's now an incel who lives in his mum's basement.
Thank you.
Well, I'd love to continue this, but gotta be somewhere.
Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Well, we both know Alex. Well, we both know. Well, I'd love to. Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma Bonding. Have you heard of it?
No, but I'm very familiar with actual trauma.
I need that.
Oh, of course you do.
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma. Yeah, I'm doing a recording session. Actually.
Gig.
Actually.
Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually.
Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma.
Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma Bonding. Have you heard of it?
No, but I'm very familiar with actual trauma.
I need that.
Oh, of course you do. Ooh, gotta get to a... Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma Bonding. Have you heard of it?
No, but I'm very familiar with actual trauma.
I need that.
Oh, of course you do. Ooh, gotta get to a gig. gig?
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma Bonding. Have you heard of them?
No, but I'm very familiar with actual trauma.
I need that.
Oh, of course you do. Ooh, gotta get to a gig. Ooh, gotta get to a gig. Ooh, gotta get to a gig.
Actually, yeah, I'm doing a recording session with a group called Trauma Bonding. Have you heard of them?
No.
Daddy's catnip. If you can get it open. There we go. That was easy. Totally. Simple.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. Add products, showcase them dynamically, and seamlessly track your inventory. Accept multiple secure payments, and design your storefront down to the very last detail.
Fly to the moon and let me dance among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter.
Now, this is something I want you to understand. You need to listen carefully because this is profoundly important. Most people have never heard this, and I don't even understand what I'm trying to say. Try and follow what I'm going to tell you. On the back of the Social Security card will be numbers in red. On the front will be in blue or black, but on the back will be in red. The numbers on the back of a Social Security card in red designate your body. It is the serial number of your stock. This Now, this is something I want you to understand, and you need to listen carefully because this is profoundly important. Most people have never heard this, and I don't even understand what I'm trying to say. But try and follow what I'm going to tell you. On the back of the Social Security card will be numbers in red. On the front will be in blue or black, but on the back will be in red. The numbers on the back of a Social Security card in red designate your body. It is the serial number of your stock. And this is why if you're wealthy, you are preferred stock. If you're poor, you are common stock. But you are a stock on the stock market. Your body is bought and sold through the use of your birth certificate. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. Therefore, your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother, it says informant. You need to wake up and find out how this stuff really works. After the change of the century, coming into 1900s, decided they wanted to expand. They got so much money and they're doing so well, they thought maybe we could expand the business, move the corporation out a little bit. Let's expand business. Let's go to Germany or Europe and open up a big corporation there and take in their corporation, their government. We'll take them over. And the Germans said, hey, Jack, it was like a mafia. What are you coming over here? You're gonna buy me? I'll buy you. You don't buy me. Like the Godfather. And the American corporation, British American corporation said, unfortunately, maybe you didn't understand. Let me restate so you understand. I didn't ask you. I'm telling you. We're moving in here. It's called a corporate takeover. And so there was a hostile corporate takeover where the American corporation decided they wanted to take over in Europe and they didn't want to be taken over. Well, it's too bad. Take over anyway. So they called it a hostile corporate takeover.
I'm making this quick video because it has been 1 month since joining the Cashflow 101 system, and so
the impulse to dance existed long before our primate ancestors evolved into humans. Evolutionary biologists suggest that dance was used by early humans to promote the social cooperation essential for our survival. Indeed, studies have found that today's best dancers all share the two specific genes associated with excellent interpersonal skills. But despite its power to save our species, dance could not save a small furniture company in Miami from an economic tsunami of a global pandemic. So, like many 40-year-old millennial white males, Mike Lane found himself alone and adrift in an ocean of failed relationships and unrealized dreams.
What you have is collateral. You got any collateral that you can put up for me to loan you the money. And the corporation called the United States, the British corporation called the United States, said, yes, we have the stock. We'll give you stock.
This area is off limits.
You are the stock of the corporation. So they give your body to the banks in Switzerland. So your body now becomes stock for the corporation called United States because you are a moneymaker. Bankers came in and said, if we're going to loan you money, you guys have lost money. You guys have gone bankrupt. We're going to take care of the accounting. We're going to see where the money goes. We'll give you the money, but we're going to make sure it goes where we want it to go. So they set up the Federal Reserve System. And then the collection agency to make damn sure that you people pay us. We're going to set up to keep a record of how much you owe us in business each week. We're going to call it the Federal Reserve. And to make sure that your stock, all the chumps out there in America are working, make sure the stock pays us. We're going to make sure they pay us. Don't just tell me they're going to pay. I'm going to make sure they're going to pay. So we will set up a collection agency. Our own personal collection agency is called Internal Revenue. So the banks, the corporation called United States, loaned money to the privately owned corporation called United States. And the United States corporation gave your body, your birth certificate, to the banks as collateral for the loan. And that's why today Americans are nothing but slaves. Now this is something I want you to understand. And you need to listen carefully because this is profoundly important. Most people have never heard this and don't even understand what I'm trying to say. But try to follow what I'm going to tell you. There are two kinds of law on the earth, as I've said. One is called civil law, which is the law of the land, and one is called maritime admiralty, which is called the law of water. Maritime admiralty is banking law. And the law on the maritime admiralty says that you, because you came out of your mother's water, are a maritime admiralty product. This is why the ship is sitting in its berth and is tied to the dock, and the captain has to give a certificate of manifest to the port authorities because money is changing hands. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. It's got to be signed by the dock because that's where the ship is tied to, is the dock. So the doc signs your birth certificate. Why? Because you came down out of your mother's water. You came down her birth canal. You are a maritime admiralty product. And therefore, your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother. It says informant. Your mother was informing the bank that she has just produced another product to be bought and sold. England, the British Crown, through international banking, owns your physical body. And that's the law. You can think it's funny all you want. So the bottom line is that you are a maritime admiralty product. And on the back of the Social Security card will be numbers in red. On the front will be in blue or black, but on the back will be in red. The numbers on the back of the Social Security card in red designate your body. It is the serial number of your stock. And this is why if you're wealthy, you are preferred stock. If you're poor, you are common stock. But you are a stock on the stock market. Your body is bought and sold through the use of your birth certificate. And if you could get your original birth certificate back, you would find that on the back of the birth certificate are all the banks around the world. All over the world, banks have used your birth certificate because you are a stock in a maritime admiralty banking scheme where you make money for banks. So consequently, the corporation and government, people who want to control you, they create a second you, and that second you that they control, that they created, is all capital letters. Check it out. Anytime you get a bill, get a lawsuit, you get a fine, a ticket, somebody sends you a bill from the Department of Water and Power, check it out on your driver's license, on your Social Security card, on your insurance cards, anything having to do with business, the name will always be all capital letters, because only all capital letters can be dealt with by banks and government. Anytime you have a name upper or lowercase, that applies to you. I got no control of you. You sign a contract that your name is in all capital letters, now I can take it to court. Now I can take it. As a matter of fact, the judge sits on a bench. He rules from the bench. The word bench in Latin is a bank. Look it up in a Latin dictionary. So the judge rules from the bench. Right, because he's ruling for the bank. Why? Because somebody's going to pay. It's just a game here. The Queen of England wants a cut of the American blood. She wants a piece. Because somebody's going to pay, and the money's going to go where? Into a bank. That's right. The judge rules of the bank. So consequently, if you are working in California making money, you are then referred to as a franchisee. You're a franchisee of a foreign corporation. 1849 Constitution of California says,
this mistake is costing Amazon Prime shoppers big. Are you still using Prime? Because at this point, it's the dinosaur of online shopping. What if I told you there's a new exciting alternative? I'm going to show you one simple trick that'll save you a lot of money when shopping online.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop for major...
No California citizen will ever pay taxes in California state. Ever. There will never be a state tax in California. Ever. That's the Constitution of California. But if you say that you're a United States citizen, you're saying you work for a privately owned corporation called United States. Therefore, you are a franchisee of a foreign corporation. Therefore, you must pay the California Franchise Tax Board. Not California State Tax Board. There is no state tax in California. You pay the California Franchise Tax Board because you're a franchisee of a foreign corporation on the maritime banking law, international law. You work for the Queen of England. Your butt is owned by the Queen of England in a corporation called United States, while a man called Bush is the president of the British corporation. You need to wake up and find out how this stuff really works. Because once you understand that you don't need to submit yourself as an American to a British commercial venture called courts. You're an American. You don't need to go to court. You only go to court because you agreed to go to court. When they send you a subpoena to court or summons to court, or they've sent you something, you look at it and say, hey, Jack, that's not me. That's in all capital letters. All capital letters is a corporation. It's a corpse. It's dead. Do I look like I'm dead to you? No, I'm an American, Jack. I ain't dead. And besides, I'll go to an American system for justice. I don't need no British Grand Lodge Masonic system called courts. This British Grand Lodge Masonic system called Inns of Court comes out of England. And it has manipulated, exploited, and lied to the people. And everybody in America thinks they gotta go to court. Oh, the judge is, they've sent me something that I've gotta go to court. I don't go to court. I'm an American. I don't need to go to court. That's the difference between being a free man and a slave.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. There's a far higher, bigger picture going on the earth for at least 7,000 years of human history that we modern day people really just don't relate to. All we know is what we live with today. The hidden history of the world we live in. For 3,200 years, Rome has dominated Europe. And for 3,200 years, Europe has dominated the world. Therefore, there is the old saying that all roads lead to Rome. Just keep in mind that what you are seeing happening on the earth today, with all the economic problems, etc., all has a pedigree, and all has a background which you need to understand. Our commercial systems, our educational systems, are all based on ancient concepts and belief systems. Knowledge is power. And this is why so many people in America especially feel powerless, because they have no knowledge. Profound things have been said in the Bible. For instance, it is written in the Old Testament that my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. And that's certainly true. Today people are dying, they're wasting their lives away because they're ignorant, ill-informed, and unread as to how the world works. And there's another scripture that I think is extremely important that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Simply meaning that as long as civilization does not understand where we have come from, where we are now, and where is the whole human race going in the future, if you don't have that kind of spiritual vision, then we're going to perish. Educate yourself about how the world really works. Banks do not loan money. There's a law in America that says no bank can loan money, period. That's the law. Now, how many people go to get a loan from a bank know that the law in America says no banks can loan money? How many people know that? The way it works is very simple. Suppose you're buying a $30,000 car, $50,000 car. That car, first of all, has to be appraised by a state-approved appraiser. So you have the government appraiser appraise the car for its value. And let's say it's $50,000. Therefore, the paperwork, which represents that $50,000 car, is referred to in commerce and business as commercial paper. And that piece of paper represents $50,000 in business. So what happens is if you decide you want to buy the car, the dealership sends the paper to the bank. So now the bank has a $50,000 worth of commercial paper. What the bank does is they open up a bank account in your name without you knowing it. All banks do this. They open up a bank account in your name. They sign your name on the bank account because you can't open a bank account without a signature. So they sign your name on a bank account and open up a bank account for you. But you don't know that. Then they take the $50,000 of commercial paper, which represents $50,000, and they put it into your account. So now you have a bank account in their bank with $50,000 in it. And then they take that bank account and they write a check on that for you. So the first check, for the first $50,000, they write for you, and they sign it for you and give it to you so you can give it to the dealer. So you think the bank has loaned you $50,000. No. The bank merely gave you credit on the commercial paper which they're holding. They are confirming that they have the $50,000 in the bank with the paper. They're holding the pay stub. Therefore, they will give you a credit of $50,000 based on your commercial paper. So they didn't give you anything. You gave them $50,000 on commercial paper. They just gave you a credit. And so that's the way it works. There is no money changing hands. Now let me give you another example that's even easier to understand. Suppose you were a painting contractor, and I hire you to paint my office, and you tell me it's going to cost $100 to paint my office. Well, the way it works in business, in commercial business, is that I agree to your bill of $100. So when you're through with the job, you come to me and you give me a bill, and the bill is for $100. I reach in my wallet and I pull out a $100 bill, and I give it to you. Now, you have been paid because I gave you a $100 bill. No, I didn't pay you anything. I paid you nothing. You gave me a bill for $100. I reach in my wallet and I give you a bill for $100. It's called a $100 bill. So now you owe me $100. It's a bill. Look on the $100 bill, and at the top it says a Federal Reserve note. It's a bank note, meaning you now owe me $100. It's a bank note. And so if you had given me a bill for $20, I give you a $20 bill. So all we're doing is just exchanging bills. That's why banks are called banks of exchange. So we're just exchanging paper. Nobody has bought anything. And because of that, the law basically says in America, you cannot pay a bill. So understand, when you say that you've got a bill that you have to pay, you cannot pay a bill in America. That's the law. But you can discharge a debt. That's different. Discharging a debt is different from paying a bill. Since you didn't pay for anything, since you're using the Federal Reserve note and you're buying something, you did not pay. You didn't pay the bill. So therefore, whatever it is you're buying, you don't own. You don't own anything. It was just a bill of exchange. They give you something worth $100 bill, and I gave them a bill for $100. So the bottom line on the way commerce works is that nobody pays anyone, period. Therefore, in point of fact, by law, no one owns anything. Also, is why you have to have insurance and a seatbelt. It's because you do not own your body. The government owns your body, in point of fact. And so your body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange, and the corporation that owns you, and you are owned. There are laws that expressly say that you are owned. You just don't know.
Now we're dealing with all of the...
It has been speculated that the moon is simply an outer shell, with a secret hidden base inside. But where did the hollow moon theory come from? In 1901, author H.G. Wells released The First Men on the Moon, a fiction novel that explored a grand trip to space, where the main characters met an alien race living on the inside of the moon. Though space and the moon weren't explored until some 80 years after the release of the book, when men did make it, they discovered something, well, odd. Seismometers were placed on the moon's surface by the astronauts during the Apollo missions. They were there to capture vibrations and movements. They were able to regularly obtain information regarding the moon's activities throughout the ensuing years. These seismometers recorded data for the Earth up until 1977, when a cost-cutting measure forced their shutdown. These radio transmissions revealed a lot of details about the moon's interior composition. The existence of moonquakes was one of the major findings. These were divided into 4 different categories. NASA astronauts set up seismic recording equipment on the lunar surface at the end of their Apollo missions to capture both man-made and natural moonquakes. Their technology captured events such as meteorite collisions, artificial explosions, and Apollo rocket crash landings. Even the thawing of the moon on a daily basis by the sun's heat generated seismic activity. A number of outstops, or Apollo lunar surface experiment packages, were sent to the astronauts in order to set up seismographs and start detonations that range from shotgun-like charges to mortars with numerous explosives. In the end, NASA deliberately crash-landed the Apollo 12 module and the SIVB rocket, detonating an explosive force roughly equal to 12 tons of TNT. They discovered that the moon rings like a bell, sometimes for hours at a time. Being unaware of the moon's mineral makeup, NASA and the Apollo astronauts were taken aback by what they heard and the implications of it. It was obvious that the density of the moon was far lower than that of Earth. The presence of a water vapor cloud on the moon was another peculiar feature noted from one of Apollo 14's outstops. After 40 years, NASA said that it's discovered the presence of water and rock samples returned from these flights, claiming that the result would alter the way we view the moon. Further investigation revealed that this water contained twice as much of the deuterium isotope as the water from Earth. They said that there are grounds to think that 600 million tons of water are trapped in moon craters. NASA first claimed that the Apollo 14's observation of water vapor was the product of water tanks that had burst and released Earth water into space. Given that the containers NASA was referring to only held 60 to 100 pounds of water, their explanation is unlikely. This vapor cloud reached 100 square miles and persisted for 14 hours before evaporating. Despite being more than 100 miles apart, NASA stated that the water from the broken tanks exploded simultaneously. Why did it take 40 years to examine and find water and rock samples returned from the Apollo missions? And why would they make such a huge claim? Is there something they don't want us to know?
February 2009, Brad Bailey, NLSI staff scientist, responded to the following question on the NASA website. What is the truth behind the studies of the moon being hollow, or at least the common myth? I'm sorry to report that there's no scientific evidence in support of a hollow moon. This myth was originated by H.G. Wells' 1904 book, The First Men of the Moon. It was perpetuated by subsequent literary works, such as Edgar Rice Burroughs' mid-1920s books, The Moon Made and The Moon Myth, in which the moon is hollow, supports an interior breathable atmosphere, and is inhabited by a race of moon men. Unfortunately, ideas such as these found in fictional works of literature frequently make their way into the mainstream public eyes, and are mistaken for scientific fact. Some people may argue that the moon's lower overall density, 60% that of the Earth's average density, and seismic ringing from a jettisoned portion of the Apollo 12 lunar lander indicate a hollow moon. However, the giant impact which formed the moon stripped off the low-density upper crust of the Earth, and is likely the cause of the low density. Additional seismic and gravity studies, as well as moments of inertia calculations, all reveal that the moon has an interior similar to that of the Earth. Surmounted in crust, upper mantle, inner mantle, molten outer core, and crystallized solid inner core. Was this done in an attempt to diffuse questions from the public? Could the mountain of evidence for a hollow moon and the elaborate tests concluded by NASA themselves really be put to rest?
This area is off limits.
On July 11, 2014, the 45th anniversary of Apollo 11's moon landing, the government released details regarding Project Horizon, a covert space program from the 1950s. The construction of a long-term military facility on the moon was proposed.
This area is off limits.
The nuclear weapons and all their supplies were being dispatched along with military personnel. The men would be constantly in contact with Earth, the covert lunar outpost, which would be utilized for protection from and monitoring of the Soviet Union. According to the documents that have been made public, the scientists were aware that the plan could be carried out, but then it would eventually be implemented as technology developed. Project Horizon was never launched. However, the story of the covert space programs from the past, present, and future doesn't end there. According to recently made public documents, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt launched the covert space program in the 1940s. In the event of a nuclear war, he was concerned about how to evacuate a sizable population without causing severe radiation harm. He reasoned that there might also be a need to study the effects of another major worldwide catastrophe.
This area is off limits.
Relocating vast populations to places in space, since there was nowhere on Earth that could accommodate them. Moving to Alpha Centauri, the closest star, at first appeared to be an option. However, the distance precluded such a scheme. Roosevelt then turned his attention to the Moon, Mars, or Venus as potential replacements for Earth. NASA wasn't the only one to begin questioning the structure of the Moon. In 1970, two Soviet scientists explored the idea, proposing that the Moon was indeed hollow, and like H.G. Wells, theorized that extraterrestrials were living inside. There are a number of strange facts concerning the Moon's relationship to the Earth, even if it seems impossible that an alien race on it is watching us, or that a hollow moon may have been installed in the Earth's orbit as a covert moon base. Many hypotheses exist today that try to explain how the Moon came to orbit our planet, but none of them have been universally accepted.
Keep the excitement of the NBA season rolling with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get 10 times your first bet in bonus bets. That's up to 2.
Leading many to conclude that the Moon is a spacecraft. It's possible that life on Earth wouldn't exist, or at least wouldn't have developed to the point that it has, if the Moon weren't orbiting the Earth in the same location that it is. Less than 10% of all terrestrial planets in the cosmos are thought to have an Earth-to-Moon ratio similar to ours, which offers the stability required to sustain a climate that can support life. Gary McKinnon, an IT expert living in Scotland, gained access to thousands of classified government documents. Between February 2001 and March 2002, McKinnon broke through the security barriers protecting NASA and the U.S. military networks, and he claimed to have discovered a paper labeled non-terrestrial officers. He clarified that ranks and names of unidentified people were listed on this Excel document. McKinnon also found another sheet, which included tabs for material transfers between ships. McKinnon also discovered indications of an extremely fast anti-gravity propulsion device. Additionally, he discovered proof of portal technology, which when combined with anti-gravity propulsions, would enable quick space travel to other stars and planets, faster than anything. Nothing can reportedly move faster than the speed of light, according to Einstein's hypothesis. Furthermore, given that NASA doesn't appear to have access to the anti-gravity technologies, it indicates that the black budget maintains these secrets, even from NASA. It continues to use fossil fuels to power its rockets. According to McKinnon, he has seen almost 300 images of buildings and civilizations that have existed on the Moon's dark side. He claims that any photographs that are made public of the structures, which are alien bases on the Moon, erase from them. Unfortunately, he was using a dial-up connection when he broke into the computers, so he couldn't download the pictures. He claims to have taken a screenshot of one that was saved on his computer, but when he was detained, his computer was taken away. Later, when he got his computer back, the picture was gone. Could the theory so far out there as a hollow moon really be true? With NASA being the driving force behind the spark of the idea before the eventual cover, it's hard to dismiss the idea.
November 20th, 1969. During their ascent back to the command module, Commander Charles Conrad Jr. and lunar module pilot Alan Bean release the Apollo 12 launch vehicle and crash it back to the moon. Upon impact, something very unexpected happened. The moon was said to have seismically reverberated like a bell for more than an hour.
With Apollo 12, people referred to a crash. It wasn't really a crash. It was a aimed deorbit of the rocket used to lift off the lunar module. And the crew separated from the launch vehicle and crashed it back into the ground right close to where they had a seismograph that they had installed down there. Well, it vibrated, so it was kind of an early clue as to how solid was the surface of the moon.
What was amazing about this is that suddenly the moon began to ring like a bell and did so for nearly an hour. Dr. Werner von Braun, who was then the head of NASA, decided that for Apollo 13, they were going to intentionally crash a heavier portion of the rocket into the lunar surface. And when they did this, the moon rang like a gong this time for over 3 hours into a depth of over 20 miles.
This was not expected, and it still puzzles a lot of scientists today. The inference is that the moon must be hollow, because the moon is made predominantly on the surface of a kind of rock called basalt. Although it's a very lightweight rock, it also absorbs impact extremely well. And so, if the whole of the moon was made of that kind of rock, you wouldn't expect it to reverberate when a large impact took place. The reason that this is played down is because the idea of the moon being hollow just contradicts what we know about physics.
In his 1966 book, Intelligent Life in the Universe, renowned scientist and astronomer Carl Sagan defined modern scholarship regarding the composition of celestial bodies throughout the cosmos.
Carl Sagan suggested that a natural satellite cannot be a hollow object. This is very odd, because why would the moon be vibrating unless it's a hollow object? That would suggest it's artificial.
Significant portions of the moon may have been hollowed out. If that is the case, the chances are that was not achieved naturally. That would have to have been achieved artificially. This brings up the important question: who would have had the ability, the skills and the technology to do that? Certainly not us. That would only have to be the work of extraterrestrials and no one else.
Hey everybody, how are you? Moms demand action. We're gonna get action.
That's right, this isn't clickbait. This is fully blown Windows OS running natively on an Android phone. But how? How is this possible? Well, keep watching, because we have a lot.
Meet Azeron, a game-changing keypad made specifically for you.
A lot to talk about. Ever since the Quest 1, people wondered whether it was possible to natively run something like SteamVR on a Snapdragon chipset. And then, of course, the Steam Deck came out, and that made things even more interesting, as that can actually run virtual reality on it, and that's a pretty damn small computing device. So it seemed like more of a yes than ever. I've been thinking, is there a way we can make this happen? Well, there is. This is Project Renegade, and as a matter of fact, it's actually nothing new. The first version of Project Renegade that I can find is all the way back from June 27th of 2020. So, what is it? Well, it's a UEFI firmware targeting mobile devices with a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor and aiming to provide a usable EDK2 UEFI environment for these devices. It can be used as a boot manager for multi-booting mainline Linux, Android, and optionally Windows for certain chipsets. That might mean nothing to you, so let me try to explain in simpler terms. If you've ever rooted an Android phone, you'll know that they have something that we call a boot image. This is what comes before your phone boots into the Android OS. But, of course, this boot image cannot boot UEFI firmware, which is what Windows is based on. Well, Project Renegade provides you with something I'm going to call an imposter boot image that will give you a full UEFI bootloader within that boot image. While your phone still thinks it's booting into Android, it's actually booting into this custom Renegade bootloader, allowing you to boot natively into UEFI operating systems, such as Windows on ARM, which is exactly what we're using today. Windows on ARM exists because, well, Windows creates tablets, and those tablets have ARM SoCs. So therefore, we can now take that Windows on ARM system and throw it onto basically anything else. However, it's actually not that simple. At this point, you may be wondering, is this something that you could do yourself? Should you put it onto your phone? And for a multitude of different reasons, this is where I'm going to have to stop you. And this is also why this will not be a fully blown tutorial on how to put Windows on your phone. There are a few reasons why this isn't something you might want to do, especially on your daily driver. First of all, it's actually not currently available right out of the box for a lot of devices. You need to do quite a bit of tinkering to get it working on a device that isn't on the list. This is because you will somehow need to find the Windows on ARM drivers for your device, while the devices that are there on the Project Renegade list have ready-made packages with all the drivers that they need. Second of all, while it may have been made a lot easier throughout the years, it's still not something that I would call a beginner-level project. In fact, I actually bricked a phone trying to install it about a year ago. You see, if you're not comfortable with repartitioning your phone's partitions, which can go horribly wrong, fixing multiple blue screens and doing quite a bit of troubleshooting, then you might want to stay away from this altogether. That being said, if this is something you would like to attempt, I will leave the GitHub link for it down below. They do have that list of devices that the project is known and tested on, and a table showing you what works and what doesn't, because certain things just don't work, like for example, audio on this phone. It does also allow for dual booting Android and Windows once you shrink your Android partitions, so you can keep your phone working as an Android phone as well. Okay, enough of that explanation. What do we have here, and what works and what doesn't? Well, this is the Xiaomi Mi 8, and it's actually quite perfect for this project, as I was aiming for something that would be similar to the Quest 1. Now, this isn't identical, but it's actually a little bit more powerful, so that gave me more hope. It's got a Snapdragon 845 chipset with 6 gigs of RAM, while the Quest 1 has a Snapdragon 835 chipset with 4 gigs of RAM. So if this can't do what we want it to, the Quest 1 surely couldn't. This is unfortunately where we get to the disappointing part. While Windows on ARM was made to emulate x86 programs, and it does it quite well, allowing me to install things like Steam and SteamVR on it, first of all, I got Virtual Desktop installed. My Quest would connect, but Virtual Desktop did drive the Adreno GPU drivers, which, I mean, understandable. This means it wouldn't show the desktop in VR, which was quite disappointing as I was thinking I could have a Pocket PC and have it show up inside virtual reality just like that, but unfortunately, that doesn't work. Secondly, SteamVR did not want to launch. Well, I mean, it did, after a solid 15 minutes, but after that, it threw up an error. Without any headset connected whatsoever, this is unfortunately where we get to the disappointing part. While Windows on ARM was made to emulate x86 programs, and it does it quite well, allowing me to install things like Steam and SteamVR on it, first of all, I got Virtual Desktop installed. My Quest would connect, but Virtual Desktop didn't like the Adreno GPU drivers, which, I mean, understandable. This means it wouldn't show the desktop in VR, which was quite disappointing as I was thinking I could have a Pocket PC and have it show up inside virtual reality just like that, but unfortunately, that doesn't work. Secondly, SteamVR did not want to launch. Well, I mean, it did, after a solid 15 minutes, but after that, it threw up an error. Without any headset connected whatsoever, SteamVR would actually turn on, but of course no headset was connected, so that wasn't entirely difficult. But once I connected a Quest through Virtual Desktop, the entire thing would just go downhill, and the device would overheat quite a bit. I wasn't going to give up that easily, though. I installed the Pico streaming assistant. Error. Unsupported drivers. I tried installing the Oculus software. Error. With no explanation this time. But to be honest, I kind of don't need one at this point. I tried ALVR, but the installer wouldn't even open. So, unfortunately, it seems like running VR on a Snapdragon 845 is just a terrible idea that would never work. Or at least, not without support from the applications that we're actually trying to run, which is fair enough. But at least we tried. Right? Well, no, not good enough. So I decided to find out how powerful this thing truly is. And if we did have support for SteamVR on it, how well would it run? So let's jump into some games. And this is where the surprising part actually happens. First of all, I tried an older but quite popular title, CSGO, and it actually worked. Surprisingly, quite well. Using a trick I found in a different video from Project Renegade, I windowed the application, reduced the resolution, and then used magnifier in order to increase it, to make it look like it was running full screen, since you can't actually change the resolution of your device in Renegade. Surprisingly, it ran quite well, depending on what kind of person you are. After that, I decided to really stress test this thing, and tried to run The Forest. Well, that got me just about as far as the menu. As the menu itself ran at about 2 FPS, I couldn't change the resolution, and it wouldn't take my custom resolutions. So that's as far as we got there. Then I tried Demio PC Edition, as I thought that would be a pretty cool thing to have on a phone. But unfortunately, that didn't even load into the game. I tried Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on it, and it actually worked really well and was perfectly playable. But considering that application is already available to download on the Play Store, it's not exactly something you'll be installing Windows on your phone to play. Then we downloaded a bunch of other games, like Left 4 Dead 2, Cuphead, and Subnautica. And you can see Beat Saber there as well, but for obvious reasons. No, Beat Saber did launch, but of course no headset connected, so it didn't work. Left 4 Dead 2 I had pretty high hopes for, but unfortunately, while it was smooth in the menu, when we launched into the game, it crashed. And I tried again, and it crashed again, so I assumed that that game just wouldn't run, which is unfortunate because it was an older title, so I thought it would run nicely. Then we tried Cuphead, and Cuphead ran at like maybe 3 FPS, so that was utterly useless, and you probably couldn't play it comfortably. Then, and when we tried to launch the game, it crashed. So I'm seeing a little bit of a trend here. Subnautica, I didn't even bother launching after the last few failures, as that is a pretty demanding game, so I can only imagine what would happen if we launched that. So as you can see, playing games on this isn't necessarily the best unless you find some games that genuinely work, but I mean, at least they turn on. And on a more powerful device, maybe. So all in all, what was the purpose of this? Well, we installed SteamVR on something that could technically be called the equivalent of a Quest 1. And I guess we have our proof here. In its current state, right now, no, you could not run PCVR on mobile hardware, or at least this kind of mobile hardware, as certain laptops will actually allow you to do it pretty well. But currently, right now, running PCVR on something like a Quest, even if we do manage to unlock the bootloader, is not going to be possible. And I know, wow, this won't be a big surprise for a lot of you out there, as, I mean, it kind of makes sense. PCVR struggles on many modern computers, let alone on an Android phone. But I thought that maybe I could use AMD FSR to just completely destroy the resolution and have it run that way, and at least have it be a fun project. But unfortunately, it didn't run. However, it was still a really fun project, and at least what we got out of this is the fact that you can run Windows on a phone, fully blown Windows with x86 programs. That absolutely blows my mind, and at least what I got from this is the fact that I can now play PC games on the fly in my hand. Well, certain PC games. As you saw, actually really good PC games ran pretty well, which is completely unexpected. But with that being said, I'm Mystical, and thank you so much for checking out this video. I know it was a little bit of a different one. I do these little projects behind the scenes constantly, and I don't make them into videos because I just don't think people will be interested. So I guess I'm about to find out. Are people interested in me merging tech and virtual reality together, and are you interested in future projects like this? As, again, this is actually my hobby. This is what I truly enjoy doing, and recording news every single day is not feasible, especially when virtual reality doesn't have news on the daily. Either way, if you like this one, please leave a like. If you disliked it, I guess it's fun worse too, but let me know why down below. If you want to see a full tutorial on this, let me know, because I'm thinking of starting up a second tech channel that I will record to alongside virtual reality content, so I could upload something like that there. Either way, that was today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are not yet part of the community, check out the Discord down below, check out out the Reddit. And thank you so much to the lovely names going off on my right. Those are my Patreons. You guys help me out a ton, seriously, right now, with all the bills and everything. Thank you so much. With all that being said, if you want to be notified about your content coming up on the channel, then just smack the subscribe button with your forehead, dig yourself, and see you again in the next video.
Back the top layers of the planet and exposing what's under.
The new case.
In 2012, Zhong Changyu left his job.
Hey, young, you big bloody beautiful legends. Here's me face. Today,
be a massive update for the Quest platform. The other day, Shiny Quagsire, a user on Twitter, tweeted out a screen from the Quest application. It's listed as platform subscription, and it's called Project Apollo. What you're seeing on screen here is called Quest Pass. Get up to 2 new apps or games every month with, in quotation,
Recording on Zoom? Who still does that?
Thankfully, with Riverside, you can record audio.
So in the last 24 hours, there has been another train derailment resulting in a fiery disaster and an attack on our waterways. A train derailment where the wheels literally fell off. A dispatcher for Norfolk Southern intentionally ignored a hot box detection on a train carrying ethanol and propane heading toward a major city, and, y'all, North Carolina residents are unaware of how they are being poisoned daily. So, oh, and let's also not forget that today is the day that the Norfolk Southern CEO, Alan Shaw, goes before Congress. So that actually should be happening in the next couple of hours. Now, I do have a sneak peek at his planned speech, so that should be interesting. But first off, let's start off with the fiery disaster of a crash that is now affecting more waterways. So 3 were injured in a fiery train derailment caused by a rock slide. Let me show you guys this picture because pictures speak 1,000 words, right? So that's how that works. Y'all see that? This is the train wreck that happened yesterday. This was in West Virginia. So it says here, an empty coal train hit a rock slide along tracks in West Virginia on Wednesday morning, causing a fiery derailment that injured 3 crew members, CSX Transportation said in a statement. 4 locomotives and 22 empty cars derailed in Summers County near the New River, CSX said. The lead locomotive, which carried a conductor, an engineer trainee. Wait, that sounds very familiar. Exactly what happened in East Palestine, where the train was carrying a conductor trainee, and an engineer. So 3 people once again. So this one, it says caught fire, and the crew members were being evaluated and treated for non-life-threatening injuries, according to the company. CSX said an unoccupied locomotive was partially in the waterway where an unknown amount of diesel fuel and oil spilled. According to officials, environmental teams were deploying containment measures. The derailment occurred in a remote area just south of Sandstone inside the New River National Park and Preserve, according to a statement from the West Virginia Emergency Management Division. Several state agencies are monitoring the situation and said public water systems downstream have been notified and are monitoring for any potential health impacts. No hazardous materials were being transported and said there was no danger to the public, CSX said. CSX, I'm not, again, a rocket scientist or some sort of chemist or the world's smartest person, but I do know that when diesel fuel spills into your waterways, there is danger to the public. I don't know how they don't see those two things and put it together and understand there's danger to the public, but okay. The company said employee and community safety was a top priority as it sends teams to assess the situation and develop a recovery plan. Here's the other thing that bothers me about this. Excuse me. Here's what bothers me about this. Where the train was going through. So according to this, it said it was going through New River National Park and Preserve, which to me, why are trains going through national parks and preserve? Because preserve means animals and things like that, right? So that water that the diesel fuel is spilling into not only affects the humans down the way, but it also affects the animals in that area who drink from that water. So just a thought I had there on disliking that part of it. Now the other train derailment, y'all, this one's special. This is a special train derailment. Let me explain. This happened in, I'm going to say it wrong, Verdigris? Because, I mean, if you say it in Spanish, Verdigris, if you say it in English, it looks like verdigris. But Verdigris, Oklahoma, emergency crews responded to a train derailment near Verdigris on Tuesday evening. It happened around 6 p.m. on Route 66 near Franklin Road, that is between Catoosa and Claremore. The fire department told Channel 2 News there is no concern for the public from this derailment. It says here the cars that derailed were empty and there's no safety risk to the community. It's estimated the cleanup will take less than 24 hours. BNSF is waiting on the appropriate equipment to arrive to replace the cars back onto the tracks. Now let me show you, if you have not seen this, I have a link here. Let me see if this will work. I want you to see. So this is actually on Facebook. I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to show you, but you can see exactly what happened there, correct? Like you can tell that literally came off the wheels and just, how? Y'all, how? Here's my question. If you have people doing their jobs, you know, the ones that in theory these train companies are employing to, I don't know, check the trains before they go places, you would think somebody would look underneath and go, huh, it looks like those wheels aren't connected. Huh, it looks a little bit loose. Like, I feel like this is something that should be caught. This doesn't seem like something that should happen. That literally, the train literally just fell off the wheels. Not that the wheels fell off the track, the train fell off the wheels. That is highly concerning, in case anybody was wondering how I was feeling about that. Highly concerned. So, let's get back over here and close that thing out. Now, the other thing that's going on, there's so much to go over on a daily basis, just with the railroads themselves. That's not a good thing. I don't know if y'all know that, but that's not a good thing. When you can literally day by day say, oh, let's look at yesterday's derailment, let's look at yesterday's crash, let's look at yesterday's whatever, or chemical explosions, plant explosions, just, it is nonstop, and it is highly concerning if you really step back and think about all the things that Fed's looking into Norfolk Southern's handling of additional reported hazmat concerns weeks after East Palestine. So, federal regulators are looking into a previously unreported incident involving Norfolk Southern potentially mishandling a conductor's concern on a train carrying hazardous materials just weeks after a similar defect precipitated the derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. This is after East Palestine, Ohio. This is after they said that what happened in East Palestine, Ohio was due to a hot bearing or whatever they called it that was picked up by one of those hot box things on the rail on the way. I don't know what they're called. So the fact that this happened after all of that is internal sabotage. Like, if you really want to sit here and think about it, internal sabotage. So listen, according to a complaint obtained by ABC News on the morning of February 27th, a Norfolk Southern train was lurching through Stoneville, North Carolina, when a safety official manning a hotbox detector desk in Atlanta radioed the crew to alert them that the car number 32 was trending hot, but not hot enough to trigger an alarm, and that the nearly 2-mile train should proceed. Two things to take away from that. The train that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, happened to be train 32N. Just coincidence? Okay, sure, why not? And then it's another 2-mile long train, same as East Palestine, Ohio. Number one, Why in the flippin' HE-double hockey sticks are trains 2 miles long these days? Oh wait, I have the answer to that later in this whole show, segment, video, whatever you want to call this. Trust me, stick around. Okay, so listen. The conductor of the train checked his manifest and made a startling discovery. Car 32 was carrying ethanol, and 5 cars away, another was carrying propane. Both were labeled as dangerous on the train's manifest, according to the complaint, which was filed with the Federal Railroad Administration. The complaint alleges that the conductor, now concerned that the trending hot warning could lead to an overheated wheel, radioed the desk back and suggested that they stop the train and inspect it. But the dispatcher overruled the crew and urged them onward.
Go to motionready.com to add this to your video, and that, and that.
Toward North Carolina. Major city. Highly populated. Let's keep going. Meanwhile, a maintenance worker in the train's vicinity allegedly overheard the radio chatter and offered to observe the train as it passed by. The complaint states that when the worker reported that he hadn't witnessed any smoke, the crew was told to keep going some 40 miles south to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Crew members were shocked, according to the complaint, to continue into a heavily populated area after being notified that a car carrying hazardous materials was trending hot could potentially pose a profound threat not only to the crew but to adjacent communities crew members feared. Ultimately, the train was able to complete its trip without further incident, but the Federal Railroad Administration is now looking into the previously unreported February 27th incident as part of a broader safety assessment of Norfolk Southern, a spokesperson confirmed. I wonder if they'll talk about it today at Congress since this just came out. The agency said in a press release this week that its assessment would scrutinize operational control center procedures and dispatcher training, among other things. A spokesperson for Norfolk Southern did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the record. Yeah, like they were going to. They waited a month to even show up at a town hall meeting in East Palestine, Ohio. You really think they're going to respond within 24 hours to any of this stuff? No, not going to happen. So, the reported incident on February 27th raises fresh safety and accountability concerns regarding Norfolk Southern and the rail industry at large, 3 weeks after a wheel bearing overheated at a on a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous materials through East Palestine, derailing the train and in causing an environmental crisis for nearby residents. Quickly, we're going to reword this. The train derailment did not cause the environmental crisis for nearby residents. The intentional release of vinyl chloride onto the ground and intentional setting of said vinyl chloride on fire is what created a crisis for nearby residents. Let's just continuously make sure that we all understand that so they cannot downplay exactly what has happened in East Palestine, Ohio, which is now affecting numerous people outside of East Palestine, Ohio, as well as inside. Okay, here we go. So, over the past 2 decades, excuse me, major rail carriers and trade groups have spent more than $650 million lobbying in Washington, often advocating against stricter government oversight of its safety procedures, according to the federal watchdog Open Secrets. In the wake of the East Palestine derailment, a bipartisan group of lawmakers led by Ohio, it says SENS. What is SENS? Oh, never mind, we're pluralizing here. Ohio Senators Sherrod Brown, a Democrat, and J.D. Vance, a Republican, introduced legislation that would tighten government-backed safety requirements for trains carrying hazardous materials. But some Senate Republicans have balked at the bill, leaving its fate in question. Senator John Thune, Republican South Dakota, has said that an immediate, quick response heavy on regulation needs to be thoughtful and targeted. Norfolk Southern, for its part, has already taken steps to self-regulate. Okay, well, their self-regulation ain't working for shit, just in case anybody was curious. Like, if it was, you wouldn't continuously hear their names in news for derailments or, I don't know, conductors killed or, you know, explosions and all that other kind of stuff. So, just keep going there. Let's see. Earlier this week, CEO Alan Shaw laid out a 6-point plan to immediately enhance the safety of its operations, the company said. The initiative will improve its defect detector network, which honestly doesn't matter if you're going to have people inside who go, yeah, it says it's on fire, but nah, brah, keep going. It's fine. It's not a big deal. That's who you need to worry about. Pilot next-generation hot bearing detectors and generally support a more stringent safety culture. On Wednesday, yesterday, the Association of American Railroads, or AAR for short, a trade group representing major freight railroad companies, announced its own list of new measures, including a commitment to stopping trains and inspecting bearings whenever the temperature reading from a hot bearing detector exceeds 170 above ambient temperature, a lower threshold than previously required. Listen, I know that time is money, money is time, whatever, and stopping a train literally costs the rail people money, and it might possibly cause the end user money. You've got to look at it from different points of view. Okay, so you have this train going from point A to point B. And once it gets to point B, you have all these trucks coming in to pick stuff up, to take it back to different warehouses, different stores, your grocery stores, your part stores for your cars, your hospitals, your whatever else. You have that's happening, right? So if you have a train leaving point A to go to point B and it's supposed to be there at noon and it stops and it doesn't get there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you've just kind of effed up everything for everybody else on the schedule, because they can no longer get their stuff and get it back to where they needed to on time, and it's a whole shit show. Trust me, I understand it happens. However, how often do you really think that a train's going to have to stop and, you know, delay the end result? Not that often, but if the need arises, if you go past one of these little hot box detectors and it goes, hey, get a little overheated over here, sir, ma'am, person, they, whatever you want to go by, get a little overheated, guess what you should do? Stop the mother train and look at it. You look and you go, nope, it's fine, and you get back on the train and you go. Or you stop and you look and you go, ooh, man, I'm glad we stopped. That would have been horrific. That would have been East Palestine, Ohio all over again. Just stop and look. That's all. That's all. All right, where are we? Hold on. I lost where I am. Y'all hang out with me. Okay, the NTSB will conduct an in-depth investigation into the safety practices and culture of the company, the agency said in a statement. At the same time, the company should not wait to improve safety, and the NTSB urged it to do so immediately. Rail unions are also pressing for more government oversight after the death of a Norfolk Southern conductor earlier this week near Cleveland, which, y'all, we're going to talk about that in a minute, too. Ooh. We did it yesterday, but I missed out on a crucial piece of evidence yesterday that we need to talk about in a second. Hold on, wait. Eddie Hall, president of the Brotherhood of Locomotive...
I buy the same products you do, only I get them much cheaper. I save hundreds of dollars a month by doing this once.
Engineers and Trainmen, or BLET for short, keep that in mind, called for significant improvements in rail safety for both workers and the public. All railroad accidents are avoidable, Hall said. It's true, just like all car accidents are avoidable. I'm going to say all of them. There might not be all... Okay, if you hit ice, I feel like that's different. That's a different one. But anyway, where are we? Shaw, the Norfolk Southern CEO. Side note, he only became CEO in, I think, May of 2022, and since he has become CEO...
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. Let's see you know why. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/.
Over 300,000 years prior, in a completely different location, and by a species that isn't even an ancestor to modern humans. So-called Oldowan toolmaking is often portrayed as something of a landmark in history, allowing for efficient processing of food. The advent of these advanced, at the time, tools is widely seen as a milestone in the development of culture and has remained a touchstone in scientists' investigations into the timeline of the emergence of human intelligence. The paper in Science, which was co-authored by researchers spanning various institutions, describes a site in Nyayenga, Kenya, that dates to 3.032 to 2.581 million years ago. Archaeologists have been excavating the site since 2015 and discovered 330 artifacts.
Welcome to the Mushroom Show, the one place that you need to be if you want to stay on top of.
And 2 hominin molars, but not belonging to any direct human ancestors. With these tools you can crush better than an elephant's molar, can and cut better than a lion's canine can, Rick Potts, senior author of the study and the National Museum of Natural History's Peter Buck Chair of Human Origins, said in a press release. Oldowan technology was like suddenly evolving a brand new set of teeth outside your body, and it opened up a new variety of foods on the African savanna to our ancestors. The researchers were able to date the tools back to about 2.9 million years ago, much earlier than previous records of stone tool use. This is one of the oldest, if not the oldest example of Oldowan technology. Thomas Plummer, an anthropology professor at Queen's College and the study's lead author, wrote in a press release. This shows the toolkit was more widely distributed at an earlier date than people realized. While it's an impressive feat that the tools were made so long ago to begin with, they were also fully functional. Alongside the tools, researchers discovered the bones of 2 hippos, demonstrating that the hominins were able to utilize the tools to process and eat large animals. Most incredibly, the paper also chronicles the team's discovery of Paranthropus molars. The Paranthropus genus is not an ancestor to modern Homo sapiens, but rather a kind of evolutionary cousin. The molars are the oldest fossilized Paranthropus remains ever found. While it is widely believed that Oldowan tools were first used by human ancestors in the Homo genus, the discovery of the tools in conjunction with the molars suggest that our evolutionary relatives may have also wielded these stone tools, and that the real history of the early hominins is more nuanced than we thought. The association of these Nyayenga tools with Paranthropus may reopen the case as to who made the oldest Oldowan tools, Plummer said in a press release. Perhaps not only Homo, but other kinds of hominins were processing food with Oldowan technology.
If a scammer gets on your system, they're going to live on there. They'll go through things like your photos, on your browser, your emails.
These clowns are going to get us all killed, and we're talking about these world leaders right now. And it's amazing to see these people who are in power that are literally leading us to the brink of nuclear war. The British government actively moving us towards all-out war with Russia. We're going to get to that bombshell in a moment, but first, the New York Times, not to be outdone, out with a brand new Nord Stream pipeline story today. This comes a month after legendary journalist Seymour Hersh confirmed that the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Now the New York Times has their own spin on this story. Here is the headline. And I almost spit out my coffee laughing at this story. Just remember, by the way, that the New York Times is the #1 mouthpiece of the intelligence community. That's not me saying this. That's, in fact, 25-year veteran of the FBI, John D'Souza, who worked on their anti-terrorism task force, calling the New York Times the mouthpiece of the intelligence community. If the intelligence community wants a story out there, they go the first place they go is the New York Times. So here is the headline this afternoon. Intelligence suggests pro-Ukrainian group sabotaged pipelines, U.S. officials say. New intelligence reporting amounts to the first significant known lead about who was responsible for the attack on the Nord Stream pipelines that carried gas from Russia to Europe. Oh, wait a minute. New intelligence amounts to the first significant known lead?
That's interesting.
What
Blinders much?
Like, what about Seymour Hersh's piece a month ago that the New York Times, by the way, ignored and he brought it to them, and they decided not to publish it, so he published it on his Substack. So This is the New York Times. It's unbelievable. So I just want to kind of go through this because I think it's incredible. So here's the new intelligence reviewed by U.S. officials suggests that a pro-Ukrainian group carried out the attack on the Nord Stream pipelines last year, a step towards determining responsibility for an act of sabotage that has confounded investigators on both sides of the Atlantic for months. Really? Has it confounded investigators?
And also, pro-Ukrainian is a pretty wide dragnet for everybody in the West. So at least we know that the Russia did it is no longer the narrative.
Right. Oh, guess Russia's out of... And the New York Times was telling us it was likely Russia, right? No, now it's a pro-Ukrainian, which is just another way of saying the United States. U.S. officials said that they had no evidence that Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine or his top lieutenants were involved in the operation, or that the perpetrators were acting at the direction of any Ukrainian government officials. Oh, okay, so then you mean it wasn't Zelensky directing this, but it's pro-Ukrainian, then where is it coming from? The brazen attack on the natural gas pipelines which link Russia to Western Europe fueled public speculation about who was to blame. And they start with Moscow. From Moscow to Kyiv, to London to Washington, or Kiev, and London to Washington. It's now remained one of the most consequential unsolved mysteries of Russia's year-old war in Ukraine. Really? Okay.
But even making that link... Yeah, go ahead, Philip. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so how can you have an investigation that shows, okay, we know who did this, but we don't know who did it. We know their ideology, but we don't know who did it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
they
they're saying,
definitely
like,
liked strawberries.
Yeah, how do you know? Yeah, exactly.
But we don't know who it was.
We know that they're pro-Ukrainian, but we're just going to stop short of... So this is...
They liked cookies and they were blue and furry.
They wore white suits, like we know all that.
They wore cone hats and they were burning things, but we really can't figure out who that is. So U.S. officials said there was much they did not know about the perpetrators and their affiliations. So U.S. officials say. So if you ever needed any more evidence that the New York Times is just a mouthpiece of the intelligence community, here it is. So we're not going to go so far as to say that it was the United States and their clandestine sabotage operation that was carried out under the dark of night by the U.S. government and the CIA. We're going to just stop short of that and call them pro-Ukrainian. So that's that piece of the story. So I wanted to make sure I brought that to you. Now to Britain, pushing all-out war with Russia. In a repeat of World War I mean, you could rinse and repeat, where Britain declared war on Germany and then brought everyone else into the mix with them, from Belgium to France to Italy, etc. Now Britain is doing the exact same damn thing with Russia. So last night we heard from Tobias Ellwood, who is the head of the British Parliament's Defence Committee. Now, he's their spy master. This isn't some low-level guy. This isn't some just like random, I don't know, even low member of Parliament. No, this is the Parliament's Defense Committee head. And now calling for a direct war with Russia from the West. A head-on collision, essentially. Watch.
Zoom is great to interact on a call, but when it comes to doing podcasts, you have to be using Riverside. What are you doing if you're not using Riverside? Literally, how we see someone affects how we perceive that person. But if you show up looking bad, you're undermining all of that work that you've done, because people are going to dismiss you before they've even heard what you have to say. Riverside really is your recording team. It's your content production team. It saves you, like I'd say, like 5 to 10 people that you would otherwise have to hire to accomplish that entire workflow. If you get what I'm saying, definitely check out Riverside, and it's going to definitely help you out with your content creation process.
What is the real story of January 6th? Many people have asked that question. Some people have...
Quite a number of events are currently happening in our universe that we aren't aware of, and one of these recent events is about to shake the whole Earth. The government is known to work on top-secret projects around the world. One of these projects has been announced to the public by an anonymous man. The anonymous man revealed that this project would greatly affect us, and we are not ready for the consequences. What is this project about? Is it going to cause an apocalypse? Join us as we explore how this anonymous man just revealed something big is going to hit us, revealed we are not ready. Our universe is marvelous, but how our governments run several top-secret activities in it is just beyond mind-blowing. These top-secret projects are only known by a few top government officials, a couple of scientists and physicists engineering the project. Knowing that such projects are in progress can be quite exciting, but one we never knew would be scary is the top-secret mission of time travel, currently ongoing behind closed doors. One of the officials participating in the project leaked this information, and he made this announcement because what he witnessed when he time traveled was not exactly enticing. Based on the project's nature, he had to leak the information anonymously, but his stories about the future are enough to send chills down his spine. In the anonymous time traveler's statement, he confirmed that he worked for a government project in the future. He was part of the people assigned to those that invented the time machine. He stated further that joining this project came at a cost, because joining the project came with the requirement of having no family. But for him, he had no wife or child, so this was the perfect job. He also said that from what he has seen, that energy never leaves the universe. The time machine also took him forward in time for him to see how events would play out in the future, and to also see what it has in store for humanity in the coming years. Well, according to what he said, seeing humanity's future wasn't a pleasurable experience. He travelled to 2150, and in that time he saw that freedom was virtually non-existent. The poverty statistics were also alarming, as over 4 billion people were very poor with mass famine, and that for that reason the human population had to be levelled out to around 10 billion people. There was only one government ruling the entire world at the time. This anonymous time traveller also confirmed that there are many timelines in the universe, and these several timelines do not always show the same outcome. This means that his partners might have seen a different outcome of humanity's future, but that does not make his experience the same. He concluded by saying that if humanity still stays on the same path we're on at the moment, there might be a huge problem that would lead to what he saw in his timeline. However, the problem with this anonymous time traveller's account of his experience is that some people don't believe him. Generally, people have always not believed those that came forward with their time-travelling experience. On the other hand, another set of people say these time travellers are part of the top 1%, the elites in our universe, warning everybody else about the looming danger. Well, some scientists still aren't having it, as they oppose the concept of time travelling, saying it's impossible. But is that actually true? Not all scientists agree with this, as some of them believe that time travel is possible. And no, we're not talking about movie inventors like Doc Brown of Back to the Future. These are real-life scientists presently trying to prove their colleagues wrong by actualizing the dream of turning back the clock and traveling to their ultimate destination. And standing tall among them is Ron Mallett. Mallett is an astrophysicist who has dedicated much of his adult life to the notion that time travel is possible. In fact, he is
Ads on YouTube must be so annoying. But with 3 clicks, you can install an ad blocker and you'll never see ads again. Step 1. Go to adblocker360.com. Step
derives the scientific equations and principles upon which he says the time machine could be invented. While he understands that his designs and theories will probably not give room for time travel in his lifetime, he's been striving in parallel to a respected academic career to achieve his dream of exploring back in time to see his dear father again. Ron Mallett was at the tender age of 10 when his father suffered a heart attack, an event that the scientist affirms changed the track of his life forever. While grieving his father's death, a sad Ron Mallett came across an illustrated version of the classic sci-fi novel, The Time Machine. That was the book that changed his life. Mallett's father, a TV repairman, had instilled in his son the zeal for reading, encouraged his budding passion for science before he died. So Mallett coming across this book seemed like it found his purpose. With special thanks to the imagination of author H.G. Wells, Mallett felt his family tragedy didn't present an end, but a new beginning. That zeal dragged him on through the rest of his childhood into adulthood, and 60 years later, 77-year-old Mallet is a professor of physics at the University of Connecticut. He has spent a lot of his career researching black holes and general relativity. This includes the theories of time, space, and gravity that the legendary Albert Einstein famously explored. Mallet has also been developing theories about time travel in his own time, which led him to embark on his journey, a complex and often disputed quest to construct a machine that can visit the past. As awesome as this sounds, the professor of physics is still a long way from his destination. Some scientists, as we said earlier, have argued he'll never get there, but his journey makes for a touching story that's fueled with the power of love and the potency of childhood dreams, coupled with man's desire to control destiny in an unknowable universe. With the way Mallet is confident about his theory, you might relate him to the mad professor stereotype. However, Mallet didn't want people to refer to him that way, and at the same time he wanted to make sure his ambitions weren't ridiculed and his job not threatened. Rob Mallet had all of this in mind and was pretty scared about how the public would perceive him. When the 77-year-old physicist began to share his ideas with the rest of the world, he discovered that he struck a chord with several people. Something he notes shows the universality of the desire to revisit the past. This seems true because at one point in our lives, Mallet said, we all have regrets, past decisions we wonder about, or people we've lost who we long to see again. People started contacting me from all over the world about the possibility of going back in time, he concluded. And that was the encouragement Mallet needed to push on in his quest for time travel. Today, photos of Mallet while at work show him surrounded by equipment in a crowded laboratory, displaying his principles at work via small-scale experiments where he stands beaming in front of chalkboards where he's written out his formulas. Clearly, Mallet's dream of time travel is profoundly on the move, but how feasible is the science behind his ideas? It is vital, though, as all of the science behind his theories on space travel hinges on the general theory of relativity and Einstein's special theory of relativity. To put it in a nutshell, Einstein theorized that time can be affected by speed, says Mallet. He gave an example of astronauts moving in space inside a rocket that's traveling close to the speed of light. Because of this speed, time would pass differently on Earth than it would for the people in the rocket. They could actually come back, finding out that they're only a few years older, but unknown to them, decades have passed here on Earth, Mallet concluded. He also references the 1968 sci-fi classic movie Planet of the Apes. In the end, an astronaut discovers that he hasn't traveled to a distant ape-ruled planet, but only come back to Earth in a post-apocalyptic future in which mankind has been conquered by simians. This is an accurate representation of Einstein's special theory of relativity, says Mallet. So the upshot is that according to the special theory of relativity, if you're traveling fast enough, you are traveling through time, and effectively, that would be a representation of time travel. Einstein's general theory of relativity is based on the concept of gravity and reviews how time is affected by gravity. What Einstein meant by that is the stronger gravity is, the more time will slow down, says Mallet. Einstein's general theory of relativity says that what we refer to as the force of gravity isn't a force at all. It's actually the bending of space by a huge object. But according to Mallet, if you can bend space, there's a possibility of you twisting space. In Einstein's theory, what we call space also involves time. That's why it's called space-time. Whatever it is you do to space also happens to time. Mallet postulated further that by twisting time into a loop, one could travel from the future back to the past, and then travel back to the future. This is where the idea of a wormhole comes in, a tunnel with two openings. Mallet also suggests that light can be used as well to affect time with the use of an instrument called a ring laser. To back up his claims, he created a prototype of this ring laser, showing how lasers could be used to form a circulating beam of light that twists space and time. His first job inspired this prototype, which was experimenting with the laser's effect on airplane jet engines. He also came up with a theoretical equation which, he argues, shows that the prototype would work. Ron Mallet's work is quite impressive, but is this going to work out and turn into an actual time machine? Maybe, but not everyone thinks so. Let's begin with Paul Sutter, an astrophysicist who hosts a podcast called Ask a Spaceman. Sutter stated, time travel into the past is allowed potentially in our theory of general relativity, how we understand gravity.
Meet Azeron, a game-changing keypad made specifically for you.
It essentially replaces my keyboard. I actually found it incredibly easy to use.
It's friggin' awesome.
That's pretty much like half a full-sized keyboard, along with a joystick.
But every time we try to concoct a theoretical time travel device, some other bit of physics busts in and breaks up the party. Sutton acknowledges that he knows Mallet's work and thinks it's interesting to deliver results, if not necessarily on track. He stated, "I don't think it's necessarily going to be fruitful because I do think there are deep flaws in his mathematics and his theory, and so a practical device seems unattainable," he concluded. Another platform where Mallet's theory was not bought and in fact brought about serious criticism was in 2005 by Kendi Olin and Alan Everett at the Institute of Cosmology, Department of Physics and Astronomy at Tufts University. They announced they had discovered holes in Mallet's equation and the practicality of his proposed device. However, Mallet does not only have critics slurping around his work, there are also people who love his work and theory and made it clear that they were in support of his endeavours. One of them was British science writer Brian Clegg. As a matter of fact, he also profiled the scientist in his book, How to Build a Time Machine. While not everyone agrees that his planned device would work, I think it's an interesting enough proposition to go for an experimental trial, Clegg stated. If it did work, it should be stressed that it's not a practical time machine. It will produce a tiny but measurable effect, demonstrating the principle. However, Mallet was quick to clarify that his ideas are theoretical, but while this theory is not yet in motion, what other theories about time travel have been proved and are actually possible? Well, there are theories that time travel is very possible and they show it, but it is not happening in the way you're probably thinking. According to science, the thing about time travel is that you're doing it at this very moment, speeding into the future at the incredible rate of 1 second per second. Not what you expected, right? You're pretty much always moving through time at the same speed, whether you're watching the sunset or wishing you had more hours to chat with a friend that lives out of town. But unfortunately, this is not always the type of time travel we have always imagined, judging from the plots gotten from multiple science fiction writers, from movies such as Star Trek, Back to the Future, or television shows like Doctor Who. These all have characters that have climbed into some weird-looking vehicle that would either spin them into the past or blast them into the future. And once the characters have travelled through time, they tussle with the next timeline of events that happens if the past or present is altered based on information from the future. This is where time travel stories cross with the idea of parallel universes or alternate timelines. Although many people are intrigued by the idea of changing the past or seeing the future before it comes through, nobody has demonstrated the kind of back and forth travel we witness in science fiction. There is also no proposed method that can be used to send a person through significant periods of time that wouldn't cause causalities on the way. Perhaps the technology is still top secret, just like the anonymous time traveler said. Well, we can't say yet, but as far as we know, there are some scientists who don't buy the idea of time travel. Even the physicist Stephen Hawking proved it in his book, Black Holes and Baby Universes. In the book, he talks about time travel, saying, "The best evidence we have that time travel is not possible and never will be is that hordes of tourists from the future have not invaded us." Regardless, science does support some amount of time bending, though, just like Ron Mallet theorized. For example, physicist Albert Einstein's theory of special relativity proposes that time is an illusion that moves relative to an observer. An observer traveling near the speed of light will experience time with all its after effects much more slowly than an observer at rest. This is a similar situation that happened with astronaut Scott Kelly and his twin brother. Scott Kelly aged ever so slightly less over the course of a year up in space compared to his twin brother who stayed here on Earth. Other scientific theories about time travel include some weird physics that arise around black holes, string theory, and wormholes, as theorized by Ron Mallet. For the most part, however, time travel remains the base of an ever-growing array of science fiction television shows, comics, video games, books, movies, and much more. But hopefully we also get some of that in real life. Do you think that time travel would be possible one day?
There's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I
can show you how to get the sweetest deals online.
Humans have a relatively firm understanding of how the universe works. For a species that hasn't left the orbit of our planet, we seem to know a lot about how the rest of the universe functions. But most of this knowledge is based on theories and assumptions, which is why space probes like Voyager 1 are crucial to our knowledge of the cosmos. These space probes send us data in real time, giving us information on the outer regions of our solar system that we might not explore ourselves for decades to come. So what happens when a space probe we've depended on for decades for valuable data starts sending strange signals and terrifying data? Scientists recently found themselves in disbelief at the string of terrifying signals sent back by Voyager 1. But what do these strange signals mean, and how do they affect the future of Voyager's space exploration? To find that out and more, stick with us as we take a look through Voyager's terrifying signal hiccup. The Voyager space probes have been part of humanity's effort to study the outer planets since the 70s. Although they were not the first of such missions, the Voyagers were designed to explore further out into our solar system using information from veteran space probes such as the Pioneer 10 spacecraft. The Voyager space probes were designed to be more effective at handling the intense radioactive environment around massive planets such as Jupiter and Saturn. The initial mission plans were intended to perform flybys around both planets to give us detailed imagery of the two largest planets in our solar system. Constructed at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Voyager 1 was built with several instruments and components, making it an unprecedented piece of space technology. The probe was built with an impressive communication system which was designed to be functional even beyond the limits of our solar system. Some of these instruments included a Cassegrain 12-foot antenna which the probe uses in sending and receiving radio waves through NASA's Deep Space Network. NASA had specifically designed its Deep Space Network with communications facilities at 3 key locations around the world. These facilities were located in the United States, Australia, and Spain, were strategically placed such that scientists would be able to receive signals from the Voyager space probes irrespective of the angle of the Earth's rotation. Taking into account the uncharted regions of deep space and its effect on signal transmission, Voyager was built with a digital tape recorder, able to record up to 67 megabytes of data in the event the probe is unable to transmit a signal at a particular time. This saved data would then be transmitted subsequently at another time when the probe is able to establish a direct line of transmission to Earth. Voyager is also built with the volatile nature of space factored in to its internal systems. Voyager 1 is built with 3-axis stabilization gyroscopes, 16 high hydrazine thrusters, and a computerized referencing instrument, all working together to keep the probe's radio antenna pointed toward Earth. These components are important because the outer edge of our solar system is filled with volatile and unpredictable radioactive particles that move at high speeds which may knock Voyager out of its desired position. These instruments enable the probe to realign its antenna position whenever it encounters such conditions on its journey. Being able to send signals back to Earth is one thing, but keeping these instruments powered up and working through decades of traveling the solar system involves a near constant supply of power. Previous probes sent out into space have all been equipped with solar panels used in harnessing solar energy needed to power the onboard systems and equipment, but Voyager was the exception. With the anticipation that Voyager would travel the far reaches of our solar system where sunlight was unable to sufficiently reach any solar panels, engineers over at NASA built Voyager with a different power source instead. Built into Voyager's structure are 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators, or RTGs. These RTGs each contain 24 pressed spheres of plutonium-238, which was a stellar fuel choice because each sphere had a half-life of 87 years and slowly degraded over time. This degradation would give off heat, which would then be converted to electrical energy needed to power the systems and components of Voyager 1. At the start of Voyager 1's journey in 1977, the RTGs generated about 470 watts of electricity, a number which has reduced by almost 50% over the 45-year journey of the space probe. But despite the recent strange signals that have been observed by scientists, Voyager 1 has been reliable from day one and has done a marvelous job of showing us the intricate parts of the planets within our very own solar system. Upon launching from Earth in September of 1977, Voyager made the trip beyond our red neighbor Mars and onward to its first primary target, Jupiter. Reaching the giant planet on the 5th of March 1979, Voyager 1 began a detailed observation of the Jovian system by studying the planet's magnetic fields, moons, rings, and its hyperactive radiation belt. The probe made its closest flyby of Jupiter at a distance of about 217,000 miles from the planet's core. This allowed for a much more detailed photographic resolution than we've ever seen. During a crucial 48-hour period in which the probe toggled on Jupiter's gravitational pull, Voyager 1 gave us the very first close-up imagery of Jupiter's Great Red Spot, a massive anticyclonic dust storm larger in size than the Earth. Another key feature observed by Voyager 1 as it orbited Jupiter is the discovery of volcanic activity on the surface of Io, one of Jupiter's primary moons. This marks the very first record of volcanic activity anywhere else other than the Earth and the solar system. But that wasn't all. It turned out the volcanic activity in Io affected not just its own surface, but the entire Jovi.
On the first day, I did $12,000, and that was like, wow, that was cool. They got to the point.
System as well. When Voyager 1 sent back data on the observations of Io, scientists were shocked to find that despite the hot volcanic eruptions of the moon, it has an extremely cold surface. It turns out the moon had no atmosphere and was therefore unable to trap any of the heat it was erupting, resulting in a cold surface with temperatures reaching minus 202 degrees Fahrenheit. The Jupiter flyby also gave the first glimpse of the smooth, uncratered surface of Europa and found an icy surface that could very well hold liquid water underneath the surface. Voyager 1 also gave us the very first detailed pictures of the largest moon in the solar system, Ganymede. With a massive diameter of over 5,200 kilometers, Ganymede is about 26% larger than Mercury by volume, and even more so than Pluto, making it the 8th largest object in our solar system, not including the Sun. With the data relayed by Voyager 1, scientists were able to tell that not only is Ganymede one of the oldest moons in the solar system, but it's even older than the Earth itself. After successfully completing its detailed observation of Jupiter and its moons, Voyager 1 proceeded to carry out a gravitational assist using the planet's gravity to increase its velocity. Voyager 1 was able to slingshot to its next target planet, Saturn, which it reached in November of 1980. Achieving the very first flyby, Voyager 1 was able to get within 124,000 kilometers of Saturn's surface, where its onboard cameras observed the complex structures of the planet's rings, as well as the active state of its atmosphere. Scientists had always known that the surface of Saturn was plagued with high winds, but when Voyager 1 signaled back data from its observations, they were shocked to find that wind speeds on the planet exceeded expectations. The data indicated that Saturn has wind speeds of up to 1,100 miles per hour, dwarfing the highest 400 miles per hour wind speeds recorded on Earth. Voyager 1 also signaled back data from its observations of the moons orbiting Saturn, most notably the Earth-like moon Titan. Titan had previously been observed using telescopes, but with observations from Voyager 1, scientists were able to get the very first close-up pictures of the moon's surface, showcasing its thick haze atmosphere. With Voyager 1's measurements of the moon's atmospheric conditions, scientists speculate that there could very well be lakes of liquid hydrocarbons which evaporated to form the thick clouds that shrouded the surface of Titan. Voyager 1's observations of Titan were a crucial part of the mission, as it was vital to study the only other body ever observed to possess stable bodies of liquid hydrocarbons similar to Earth's. This was the major contributing factor to Voyager's trajectory, so much so that had Voyager 1 been unable to perform a Titan flyby for any reason, Voyager 2's trajectory would have been immediately adjusted to perform the flyby before continuing to Uranus and Neptune. Fortunately, Voyager 1 was able to perform the observations and proceeded to observe Saturn's other moons, including Tethys, Hyperion, Enceladus, and Rhea. Rounding up its observations, Voyager 1 began to make its way to the edge of the solar system, performing one last gravity assist using Saturn's gravity to increase its velocity. While Voyager 1 made its way toward the outer edge of the solar system, it had begun to lose small amounts of energy, something scientists had predicted, and it became necessary to start deactivating non-essential components that the probe could do without at this point in its mission. While it became apparent that the cameras would be the next component to be deactivated, Voyager 1 took one last series of pictures of the solar system as seen from the outer edge. These pictures became known as the family portrait, with its most notable image being a picture of Earth seen as the pale blue dot. This image really put into perspective our place in the universe and further emphasized the importance of the Voyager missions. So after the family portrait, the cameras on Voyager 2 were deactivated with only essential computers and sensors left running. By February of 1998, Voyager 1 had reached a milestone distance of 69 astronomical units, which is the equivalent of 6.4 billion miles from the Sun. This was a point in space that only one other spacecraft in history had reached, the Pioneer 10 spacecraft. Voyager exceeded the mark, pushing onward to interstellar space. While Voyager 1 no longer had its imaging system to send imagery of the solar system, it still had other vital components, such as its plasma wave subsystem, which it used in studying wave particles and their behavior, a study that would prove to be vital as the probe encountered the termination shock. After flying for a few years with no significant data changes or usual signals, scientists received telemetry data in February of 2004, which indicated that solar winds originating from the Sun had slowed to subsonic speeds. This led to the conclusion that Voyager 1 had entered the termination shock. This was a point at the beginning of the edge of the solar system where the solar winds slowed to subsonic speeds as a result of their interaction and collisions with the interstellar medium. This interaction was detected by Voyager 1 as it caused significant compression and distortion to the magnetic field surrounding the space probe. The termination shock was merely an astronomy concept at that point, but with Voyager's readings, scientists were able to establish a definitive boundary, and it is believed the termination shock lies between 11 to 13 billion kilometers from the Sun. Voyager 1 crossed the boundaries of the termination shock in late 2004 and proceeded to an uncharted part of the outer solar system where solar winds not only slowed to subsonic speeds, but equaled the external pressure from interstellar cosmic radiation.
A new global alliance is rising, but it is not a union between countries. It is an alliance between governments.
This point of Voyager 1's journey marks the beginning of the heliosheath, a region of space where the radial outflow of solar winds could no longer push against the inflow of cosmic radiation. At this point, Voyager 1 was approximately 10.8 billion miles away from the Sun. At this distance from the Sun, solar winds were observed to be at zero, indicating that interstellar winds pushing against the heliosphere caused them to turn sideways and therefore unable to move forward. This was confirmed by mission controllers over at NASA on December 13, 2010, as Voyager 1 sent back signals containing data observed by its cosmic ray system. This system has been in the space probe from the very beginning of its journey, but didn't see much use as the level of cosmic radiation inside the solar system was of no consequence to its mission. But at the heliosheath, Voyager 1 began detecting increasing amounts of cosmic radiation, which scientists are now able to study the acceleration, origin, life history of these rays to further understand them. Because Voyager 1 was moving beyond the point where it could observe solar winds, mission controllers over at NASA commanded the spacecraft to change its orientation in order to measure the sideways motion of these solar winds. This was carried out in March of 2011, in which a practice roll was carried out to test the spacecraft's ability to reorient and change its position. This, of course, did not alter the spacecraft's course, but only tilted its axis 70 degrees clockwise with respect to the Earth, in order to detect the sideways movement of solar winds. This was the first maneuver carried out on the spacecraft in about 20 years, since the family portrait was taken back in 1990. After the observation was successfully completed, Voyager 1 reoriented itself using Alpha Centauri as its guide star and resumed transmission back to Earth. Later on, in 2011, NASA announced that Voyager 1 has detected the very first Lyman alpha radiation originating from the outer reaches of the Milky Way galaxy. Lyman alpha radiation had previously been detected emanating from other galaxies, but due to the protective barrier of the heliosphere, it was nearly impossible to study these particles until now. At this point in Voyager 1's journey, NASA revealed that the space probe had encountered a region of outer space referred to as cosmic purgatory. In this region, solar particles emanating from the Sun were practically non-existent, but instead the magnetic field produced by the solar system doubled in strength. This was a response to the outer pressure applied by cosmic radiation and was simply our solar system's way of protecting itself from these volatile cosmic particles emanating from outside the solar system and to other parts of the galaxy had increased more than 100 times the initial amount observed inside the solar system. This region lies approximately 113 astronomical units from the Sun, meaning Voyager 1 had very well begun its exit from the edge of our solar system and was now entering interstellar space. In June 2012, NASA announced that Voyager 1 was detecting drastic changes in the environment with respect to an increased number of charged particles and cosmic rays. This indicated the inner edge of the hemisphere, making Voyager 1 the very first spacecraft to cross into interstellar space at a distance of 121 astronomical units from the Sun. At this point in the Voyager 1's journey, it was extremely fortunate that the probe did not depend on solar energy as a power source, as sunlight took over 16 hours to reach Voyager 1. At this distance, Voyager 1 was traveling at a speed of over 10 miles per second, respective to the Sun. At its current speed, Voyager would need approximately 17,565 years to travel 1 light year. At these speeds, it will take Voyager 1 over 73,000 years to reach the closest star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri, which is about 4.2 light years away. But Voyager 1 isn't headed for Proxima Centauri and is instead headed in a different direction, making a straight line the constellation of Eucus. Mission controllers over at NASA reported in 2012 that Voyager 1 was detecting heavy collisions with high-energy particles. These particles were thought to be cosmic rays originating from exploding supernovas well beyond the reaches of our solar system. This increase in high-energy particles was also followed by a drastic drop in low-energy particles which originated from the Sun. Scientists at Johns Hopkins University stated that these two occurrences were sufficient enough to declare that Voyager 1 has fully exited the heliosphere and was now in interstellar space. But then scientists observed something unexpected in the data, as it appeared that the magnetic properties of this region were different than had previously been anticipated. This led Voyager project scientist over at California Institute of Technology, Dr. Ed Stone, to release a statement stating, "Voyager has discovered a new region of the heliosphere that we had not realized was there. We're still inside apparently, but the magnetic field now is connected to the outside, so it's like a highway letting particles in and out." This strange occurrence with magnetic field indicated that the region was 10 times more intense than scientists had initially theorized. It was expected to be the last barrier that needed to be overcome before Voyager 1 would have completely exited the solar system and was now fully in interstellar space. With Voyager 1 fully in interstellar space since 2012, scientists have been monitoring its
This game, you're not ready for it.
signal feedback with high anticipation, seeing as how no spacecraft has ever made it beyond the heliosphere in the history of mankind in space exploration. But they were shocked when during one observation cycle, Voyager 1 began sending unknown and frankly terrifying data. The data received from Voyager 1 appeared to be generating random data which reflected fairly impossible scenarios that were unlikely in interstellar space. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory officials revealed that the unexplained data was originating from Voyager 1's Altitude Articulation and Control System, also known as AACS. The system was in charge of measuring and calculating the orientation of Voyager 1 and its antenna, keeping the probe on a direct line to Earth for proper signal transmission and orientation. Scientists were at a loss at the cause of this terrifying signal and junk data sent back by Voyager 1. This was because the probe appeared to be functioning properly, as it was still able to observe, gather, and send data back to mission control here on Earth, although the data received was basically unusable. At this point in the mission, both Voyager 1 and 2 were nearly 45 years old, a lifespan that was far beyond the original mission expectations. However, during the entire mission, both Voyager 1 and 2 had consistently sent back accurate and readable data, despite having several systems deactivated to conserve power. Voyager 1 is currently 14.5 billion miles away from the Earth, and at this point, signal exchange between the probe and mission controllers at NASA is a huge delay. It takes over 22 hours for signals from Voyager 1 to reach Earth, and roughly the same amount of time for signals to be sent back to the probe. After grasping at straws for weeks trying to solve the mystery of the strange signals sent back by Voyager 1, mission controllers over at NASA recently found the root cause of the problem. They discovered that Voyager 1's AACS, which is responsible for keeping the probe's antenna always pointed toward the Earth, had encountered a problem. The system began sending information through a corrupted computer that had been deactivated years ago. The data in itself was accurate and readable, but being relayed through a corrupted computer inadvertently corrupted the data as well, therefore sending the junk telemetry data back to Earth. According to NASA, once they discovered the root cause of the problem, they only had to send a new command to Voyager 1, instructing the probe to stop sending data to the corrupted computer and resume using its functioning computer instead. NASA reported that this was a quick fix, and that Voyager 1 is now back to sending accurate data about its current observations of interstellar space. However, scientists are still unable to account for the reason why Voyager 1 began using the corrupted computer when they sent no commands to do so. It has been widely speculated in the scientific community that Voyager 1 probably encountered some form of cosmic radiation containing charged particles which distorted system commands, causing the switch to the corrupted computer. This is still just a theory, as NASA is yet to give an account of what they believe was the cause of the system malfunction. And while mission controllers believe this was an isolated incident, there has been wide speculation that the likelihood of a similar situation happening again is highly possible due to the unknown nature of interstellar space. And while Voyager 1 has been in interstellar space much longer, Voyager 2 recently entered the region of space in 2018 and may very well encounter the same problem soon enough. Voyager 1 has played a crucial part in our understanding of the planets in our solar system, as well as the heliosphere, which up until now was merely a theoretical concept. Initially built to last just 5 years, Voyager 1 and 2 are both 45 years old, with mission controllers confident they'll be able to extend the life expectancy of both probes well into 2025. Voyager 1 will still be able to send back data until its power source runs out in the next 3 years, but that won't mark the end of Voyager 1's journey through the galaxy. The space probe is expected to continue with its current velocity and to enter into the Oort cloud in some 300 years' time. Anticipating that the space probe will float through space for hundreds of thousands of years to come, Mission Control added the golden record within the structure of Voyager 1. This record contains several messages, including a child's voice, recordings of various musicians, and greetings in 55 different languages. So in the unlikely event that Voyager 1 encounters aliens, they will get a glimpse of what life on Earth sounds like. Do you really think Voyager 1 will encounter something unexplainable in interstellar space? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
You don't want any Girl Scout cookies. Oh. Cutie pie, you always try to stick your head up there. Try and get your head squashed. Try and get your head squashed. Daddy loves his kuma.
Dux was a legendary fighter. When he was a teenager, he was taken under the wing of a master named Senzo Tiger Tanaka and trained in the ancient art of ninjutsu. Senzo was a world-famous teacher and descendant of 40 generations of warriors. Taking to the art very quickly, Dux became Senzo's greatest pupil. But his master was an old man, and after teaching Dux all of his knowledge, he passed away, making only one request of Dux before he did. He must compete in the Kumite and become the first Westerner ever to win.
Opera GX is my preferred browser. I used to use Chrome, and then I finally opened my third eye. Chrome just is a giant resource hog. It's not worth it, and it tanks performance. Hot tabs killer, force dark pages, cleanup tools, just so much right there. Opera GX is just a fantastic browser. Another fun tool is that it can easily import all of your current settings from your current browser, so the
win the trophy. The Kumite was a near-mythical, no-holds-barred, 60-round, single-elimination martial arts tournament. It had been heard of, spoken about, but rarely had anyone actually ever seen it. It was supposedly a long-standing tournament where the greatest martial artists from all over the world came and fought to the death. But it was only held once every 5 years, so Dux had to wait. During this time, he entered the Marines and was awarded the Medal of Honor for covert operations he undertook in Southeast Asia. It was during this time that Dux gained black belts in Taekwondo and became a master of knife fighting. But in 1975, he heard a whisper of something shocking. The Kumite had been announced, and his chance to fulfill his late master's dying wish had come true. Going AWOL from the military, Dux travelled to the Bahamas, sought out the tournament, and began the fight to honour his master's legacy. And that he did, because Dux became the first ever Westerner to win the tournament. But not only that, he scored 56 consecutive knockouts, one of which was, incredibly, in 0.12 seconds. Both feats were world records. Because of this incredible performance, Dux was deemed the honour of being the first person to be allowed to publicly speak about the Kumite. After this, Dux returned to the army and began undertaking covert ops, both for the military and the CIA, playing a role in operations in Central America during the 1980s. He also began forming his own martial arts schools, where he could pass on the knowledge he'd learned from his own masters. It was during this time that his incredible story became more widely known, and was even the basis for the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Bloodsport, for which Dux was hired to be the fight coordinator. The film was a huge box office success and instant cult classic, massively increasing Frank Dux's notoriety, which off the back of he created his own martial arts dojos, and even, bizarrely, being offered $25,000 to kill Steven Seagal, of all people. Through listening to this astonishing man's story, it would be unsurprising if you thought him to be the greatest warrior who ever lived. But all of these events and achievements aren't the most astonishing or even most interesting detail of his life. The most incredible thing about Frank Dux is that it's all complete bullshit. He made it all up. It was all a lie, presumably made up by Dux to build his own reputation and profit from it. A lie believed by so many that it made its way to Hollywood. But the truth is that there's no record of a Senzo Tanaka ever existing. Dux's only military records say that he fell off a truck and never left San Diego. And the one supposed witness to Dux's incredible life story later revealed he had been coached by Dux on what he should verify. Dux was eventually entirely exposed by the Los Angeles Times. The world of martial arts is incredibly dangerous, not just because its central principle is to teach you how to hurt people and protect yourself from harm, but also because there is an ironic catch-22 inherent within most martial arts disciplines. What if the martial art you're learning cannot actually protect you, and your very faith in it exposes you to more danger? With martial arts, having faith that your teachings can actually defend you during a fight can be a matter of life or death. If you believe 1 + 1 = 3, you'll probably struggle with maths and be the victim of ridicule. But if you believe you know how to stop a knife with a self-defense technique, and it proves to fail, you could end up very, very dead. Whereas most incorrect beliefs put you at odds with others, incorrect martial arts beliefs put you straight on track for an arse-kicking or a bed at a morgue. Luckily, the days of martial arts hearsay in which figures like Frank Dux thrived is rapidly becoming a thing of the past. And there is one major reason why: the emergence of MMA. Although MMA, or mixed martial arts in some format, has existed since ancient Greece, in recent decades it has grown hugely in popularity, to the point where fighters like Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey are household names, and the industry brings in hundreds of millions each year, and its popularity is easy to explain. Whereas boxing or judo will put two practitioners of the same fighting style against one another, MMA pits two fighters of just about any fighting style imaginable against one another. The result is that it has become an incredibly fertile ground for seeing which martial arts work and those that absolutely do not. Which, in a data-starved field like martial arts, is a godsend for being able to assess the real-world effectiveness of each unique discipline. Striking arts such as boxing and kickboxing, and takedown and submission arts such as judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, sambo and wrestling have all proven to be extremely effective. With one caveat: they are each most effective against certain foes that use certain styles. A boxer might be able to knock out a master wrestler, but if the wrestler gets him on the ground, the boxer is going to be in big trouble, and vice versa. John Jones and Khabib Nurmagomedov are a testament to this ability to fuse the proven effective styles and dominate their opponents with them. Whilst they each may specialise in a certain discipline, they are both highly skilled at picking the right tools from their toolkit when the moment calls. Thus, MMA has taught the world two revealing aspects of martial arts. The first is that one art is probably not entirely effective on its own. The second is that a fighter must be able to fight at multiple proximities and heights. At distance and up close on their feet, in the clinch, in the takedown, and on the floor. Ignore any one of these areas of discipline and your opponent will not hesitate to take advantage of it. For years, martial artists only fought against practitioners of their own singular discipline, meaning that martial arts were largely designed to provide techniques for attacking and defending against only that very same discipline. This left martial arts with limited avenues for evolution, as they weren't being tested for their actual, real-world versatility, which is like only ever receiving feedback on your cooking from your own family, whereas the rest of the culinary world would probably tear it apart. This meant that when some martial arts made their debut in MMA, they were very quickly dispatched, and their gaping weaknesses torn wide apart. Sumo wrestling, for instance, was met with a quick reality check when Royce Gracie dismantled Akebono Taro. Although an expert sumo wrestler and by far the larger man, Akebono was easily defeated, and Gracie demonstrated how effectively Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can control a man on the ground and defeat him. This highlights an immediate question: what actually makes a martial art work? Well, the most effective acid test would be this: does it consistently perform against a completely uncooperative, fully resisting, aggressive opponent? If the answer is no, be extremely skeptical about any claims made as to its capabilities. Another concern highlighted by Bruce Lee was whether a martial art actually arms a practitioner with tools and teaches them how and when to use them. Comparing Western boxing to Tai Chi, he said, "A boxer, when they concentrate on their two hands, they forget how amateurish they are, and they do their thing. Whereas those guys out there, referring to Tai Chi, they haven't decided what they're going to use. The minute they contact, they don't know what the hell they're going to use." He expanded on this to describe effective fighting as, if you can move with your tools from any angle, then you can adapt to whatever the object is in front of you. The clumsier, the more limited the object, the easier for you to punch on it. That's what it amounts to. This brings us to ineffective martial arts, of which there are
Make this the last ad you ever see with AdBlock 360. Just head to adblocker360.com. Click on Activate AdBlock now. Add AdBlock 360 to your browser. Confirm. Done. No more ads, no more interruptions, ever. Again, adblocker360.com.
YouTube TV has no hidden fees and includes unlimited DVR space. YouTube TV, try it free.
many. Now, whilst these martial arts have a place in the world and are probably fine for developing discipline, character and fitness, as well as being extremely effective when used against practitioners of their own style, they're generally not effective at actual self-defense or attack for that matter. Arts like sumo, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, Capoeira and Kung Fu have all had troubled reputations at proving their effectiveness. And aside from less mystical branches of Kung Fu, most of them have little to no reputation in MMA. One Chinese MMA fighter, Zhu Zidong, was so frustrated with the claims of many of these martial arts, particularly Eastern ones, that he proceeded to challenge the so-called masters. Amongst many victories, he defeated a Kung Fu master with supposed supernatural powers in 20 seconds flat, and a Wing Chun master in 1 minute 48 seconds into the first round, even though the man was 26.5 pounds heavier. Whilst experts in their art, neither was capable of even remotely defending themselves against a capable, fully resisting, aggressive opponent. Sadly for Zhu, the result was the Chinese Communist Party docking his social credit score so much that he couldn't afford basic living or travel costs, and he was publicly harassed, assaulted, and barred from his own gym. This also highlights a key issue that many ineffective martial arts face: poor sparring. Technique is continually practiced against a compliant, non-resisting opponent, meaning that you and the technique itself are woefully ill-equipped for a real-world confrontation. This extends to so-called self-defense martial arts like Krav Maga. Whilst these techniques have been designed by the military to work in combat zones, they also rely on incredibly dangerous attacks such as eye gouging, attacking an opponent in the scrotum, and disarming them with a knife only to stab them with it in the heart. Whilst these may be effective, there is no way for you to properly train such techniques in sparring with a resisting opponent without maiming or killing them. To say nothing of the fact that your sparring partner would always have to be very compliant for you to even pull off these maneuvers at non-dangerous speeds. These martial arts also beg the question: what's the actual point of defending yourself if you end up landing yourself in prison on manslaughter or GBH charges? What's effective in a life or death battlefield scenario isn't very necessary for everyday life. In 99% of scenarios, simply having the fitness and motivation to run away would probably be far more effective and intelligent. Another point worth mentioning is that there is a lot more to fighting itself than just knowing techniques. Your courage, physical size, fitness, and experience have far more bearing on the actual result of the confrontation than the knowledge of technique. You might know how to perform an eye gouge, but let's see you do that against a big, aggressive man who's fought and won hundreds of pub scraps during his life. But sure, perhaps you might be able to pull it off as he uppercuts you into the middle of next week. But beyond ineffective martial arts techniques, there are some martial arts that are just out and out fake. So fake, in fact, that they border on hilarious lunacy. The deeper you go into the world of martial arts, the stranger things become. But few things are more bizarre than claims of no-touch knockouts by harnessing chi powers and using psychic manipulation. One martial art called Balinese Yellow Bamboo claimed to blast people with God-charged beams of chi as a method of self-defense. Guy is running at you with a meat cleaver? No worries, just blast him with chi. Naturally, when put to the test by real, trained fighters, the Yellow Bamboo fighters failed to deploy the necessary chi to stop them. Yanagi Ryuken, an Aikido master and pioneer of Daito Ryu Aikido, made repeated claims that he could physically manipulate his environment and knock out his opponents without touching them. However, when confronted by journalist and fighter Irakura Tsuyoshi, he was rapidly dispatched and left badly bleeding, later claiming his defeat was due to illness. Likewise, George Dillman, a controversial martial arts figure known for his no-touch knockout chi power, described another's failure to fall victim to his technique by saying they had put their tongue in the wrong position and that they were a non-believer. But why do these bizarre techniques practiced by entire dojos of students appeal to so many, and why do they seem to work when the master practices them on his students? And how on earth do these masters delude themselves that they work? Well, the psychology of no-touch knockouts has a lot to do with Dillman's comment on being a non-believer. It turns out, if you're a believer, you likely will be knocked down by these no-touch attacks. In fact, Dillman has convinced dozens of students that he can knock them down and out without ever touching them. It's remarkably similar to techniques employed by gangs, religions and cults. That is, vulnerable people are offered safety and a sense of belonging. The more they invest their lives into the group, the more they double down on their belief, the more it becomes part of their identity. This leads to a complete lack of questioning of the master and the tradition, an increasing reliance on the group and its training, and an increased alienation from real life. Moral, social and dress codes are enforced, and rival groups are talked about like their enemies. Perhaps most interesting of all is that when people in these groups are confronted with a reality that disproves the group's premise, they don't renounce it, they simply double down on their beliefs. This results in two things. One, the fake martial arts practitioner becomes completely compliant to the nonsense techniques and lets himself get flung around by psychic powers. And two, the master comes to believe his own nonsense. And as is the case of Yanagi Ryuken, living out a power fantasy kept alive by vulnerable people who are easily manipulated, until he ends up having a brutal reunion with reality. These masters are no more than con men who got fooled by their own con. An interesting paper by Gillian Russell talks about this, and she boils it all down to a concept she calls epistemic viciousness, meaning the possession of vices that makes one bad at acquiring true beliefs, or gives one a tendency to form false ones. This inclination towards epistemic viciousness is rife in the martial arts world because of their closed-mindedness, reliance on tradition, and failure to adequately confront reality. This goes not just for fake martial arts, but the ineffective ones I mentioned earlier. Is a tiny or Krav Maga expert with no real-world experience in fighting actually qualified to defend himself, let alone teach others to? And is teaching others a non-effective defense technique actually dangerous? To illustrate epistemic viciousness, she uses the example of her 11-year-old self being taught by her karate master that if she trained a straight punch for 3 years, she could kill a bull with a single strike, which is obviously ludicrous and would probably result in her vicious mauling. Which brings me to my next point. Fake martial arts are incredibly dangerous, and the fake martial artists who create them, even more so. John Timothy Kean, otherwise known as Count Dante, created the dim mak, or death touch, fighting style, and peddled it to unsuspecting teenagers in comic book magazine adverts who didn't know any better. He became so successful and so lost within his own fantasy that he would instigate dojo wars, one of which led to the murder of his student. Another man, Rafael Torre, was a supposed BJJ expert who was initially extremely famous in the world of mixed martial arts. However, when he actually participated in a real fight that he thought for some reason he could win, he was quickly dispatched of and shown to have little skill in BJJ. In fact, it wasn't till years later that he pulled off a real rear naked choke against a truly resisting opponent, when he murdered his lover's husband. Or consider actor Mickey Rourke, whose claims to being a former boxer were backed up by a record that couldn't be found, and an opponent who claims to have been paid to take a dive. Whilst not being a danger to others, why he'd go to such lengths to lie about being a fighter and then endanger himself by doing so is beyond anyone. However, I don't want to end this video on a dour note of dangerous practices and deceptive martial arts masters. Instead, I'd like you to take from this one clear lesson, not just for martial arts, but for life in general. Never take anything as proven when you haven't seen evidence of it being proven time and time again. Never trust a master who claims to know everything but never actually backs it up with evidence, and always question the beliefs that have been driven into your head by others. That is, unless it's me who's put them there, in which case you should believe and serve unquestioningly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, because it thought.
Hey everybody, Economic Ninja.
Hey, 42 here.
Now, you probably already know that 2 days ago, Tucker Carlson, on his show over on Fox, showed several never-before-seen pieces of video surveillance footage that were captured at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. This, of course, then led the legacy news outlets in our country to have somewhat of a conniption, and they began to, once again, double down and push their narrative of January 6th around the clock. Meaning that the current news cycle has been focusing almost all of its attention on what happened at the U.S. Capitol 2 years ago, while at the same time ignoring almost everything else. Such as, for instance, the fact that just 2 days ago, about 200 left-wing extremists quite literally firebombed a police training facility over in Georgia in a form of domestic terrorism. However, let me back up for a quick moment and set the stage for you properly so the context of how this all came to be becomes crystal clear. And I hope that if you appreciate content like this, you do take a quick moment to smash those like and subscribe buttons so the YouTube algorithm will be quite literally forced to share this video out to ever more people. Now, to start with, you might remember how 2 months ago, during a fight in the U.S. House over who was going to be Speaker, Kevin McCarthy made several concessions in order to eventually secure his position as the Speaker of the House. And even though this wasn't on the official list of concessions, shortly after he became Speaker, Kevin McCarthy handed over about 41,000 hours worth of surveillance footage that came out of the Capitol on January 6th of 2021. And he handed this footage exclusively to Tucker Carlson and his team. Then, after Tucker's producers spent several weeks combing through that footage, Tucker aired a segment on his program, which showed several never-before-seen camera angles, which really did call into question the official mainstream media characterization of several different people, including, of course, the infamous shaman with the fur hat, whose real name, by the way, is Mr. Jacob Chansley. He is, just for your reference, currently serving a 41-month-long prison sentence. However, I imagine that his lawyers are right now chomping at the bit in order to appeal his case as quickly as possible. That's because the footage that Tucker presented on his program, footage, by the way, that the government never gave to Jacob's lawyers, it shows the shaman being essentially escorted through the hallways by the Capitol Police themselves, who then opened the doors to the Senate chamber so that he can go in and take those infamous photos that were then plastered all over every single news channel in the country for the last 2 years. Here's a short excerpt from the Tucker Carlson expose that aired, again, just 2 short days ago.
Dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Now, imagine for a quick moment that you are Mr. Jacob Chansley. You were recently sentenced to a 41-month prison sentence, which is about 4 years behind bars. And during your trial, you were not given access to this exculpatory evidence. You might have told the jury during the trial that, hey, the police officers just let me walk around, and they even opened the door for me so I can walk in. But since the judge refused the footage from being shown, what jury would actually believe you? And indeed, soon after Tucker Carlson began to show these videos to the public on his primetime show, more and more of these January 6 prisoners, who are still awaiting trial, are now asking the court to delay their trial so that their lawyers can review this new treasure trove of surveillance footage. As an example, the lawyer for Mr. Shane Jenkins, who is currently awaiting trial for physical violence in the Capitol as well as disorderly conduct, he wrote this in a motion to the court. Quote, Mr. Jenkins requests that his trial, currently set to begin on March 21st, 2023, be moved so defense counsel can review the additional discovery. Video evidence depicting Mr. Jenkins would constitute both exculpatory and material evidence, which would require disclosure from the government. Due to the large amount of video being released, and because Mr. Jenkins is currently incarcerated, we request additional time to review the information and prepare for trial. Now, there are 2 things that are really worth highlighting here.